Greetings, fellow true believers and citizens of the wider Baltimore area. That's right. It's Tiki here, and I am here to be regaled, to be thrilled, to be captivated, and stirred to my core by a tale of Comic-Con bravery. That's right, folks. It's Dragon's Baltimore Comic-Con Quest 2024. I've just built it up so much, Dragon. Are you going to be able to live up to my hype?
Well, really, Tiki, it's a question of if you can handle the story.
I don't know if I can. I'm still recovering from my trip, Dragon, so
I don't think
I
you
don't
have the
know.
constitution, but we're going to find out. Oh, it's
We'll
a month
see.
of scares, so, maybe it's good for you. I don't know.
All right, so Dragon, this is a long-going tradition of yours to attend the Baltimore Comic-Con, then come back, tell me how it is. So, yeah, let's just jump right into it, my friend.
Okay, so, this year, so again, folks, we're going to be covering, essentially, we're going to be covering two conventions here. We're going to be covering the Baltimore Comic-Con, and then I'll be hitting you through the Monster Mania when we get to the end, because that's chronologically how it went this year, oddly enough.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of the way it worked out. Okay, so and also again, this is just pretty much just me telling Tiki stuff here, folks. I would again, I'll be shocked if anyone actually comments on this thing, but who knows? You never know. I don't know if anyone's gonna watch this, but I'm basically just it's kind of more behind the scenes me telling Tiki stuff in somewhat of an entertaining fashion.
All right.
Okay, so this year for Baltimore Comic-Con, I'm always in prep mode.
Oh, we have a comment right off the bat.
Well, there we go.
Gios is just confirming his existence, saying, I'm here. So there we go, Dragon. You got one person listening.
Well, someone's in need of a sleep aid.
Oh, God.
That's what our podcast is. We're the ultimate sleep aid.
Oh, Jesus Christ. All right, go ahead.
Anyway, yeah, so, this year is as many years, I'm always in, prep mode. I'm scouring over the list of, they announced the guest list, but of course there's always names added and then subtracted, and then of course they save the media guests for pretty much till D-Day.
Uh-huh.
So, I'm scouring that, but this year, basically, let me say August was the one where it was race of the month where I was really trying to lock it down, just trying to get everything. I was in preparation for August, just getting things aside, all the comics I was going to need, and trying to approach it more strategically than I ever had before. Trying to account for, not just post-pandemic, but especially post-pandemic, prices have gone up everywhere, including, creators who formerly didn't charge now have representation and are now charging. So you got to be strategic. You got to pick and choose certain books, and you really
Those goddamn unions, Dragon. What are we gonna do with them?
Yeah, it's
kidding. Of course.
It's an introspective. I got to admit, it's the most introspective here in terms of what do I really need signed? What do I need signed? What do I want to take? What am I gonna what does it mean to me? Versus do I want to get somebody who I just because I have the book that I want to get signed? No, I want somebody who I've read the book and I've cared about the book to sign them.
Dragon, would you like to know about the extent of the planning that went into my trip in regards to what stuff I need signed?
Okay.
So Elvira was going to be at the park for 3 nights.
Hey.
But she wasn't going to be at the park any of the nights I was there. So I literally didn't have to worry about it. That's it. The end.
Oh. See, folks, that's the kind of storytelling you're not going to hear from me.
No, I mean, I have stuff to say about my trip. I'm not sure if I'm going to do an actual trip report or not. But yeah. But yeah, suffice to say, I did have one momentary fling of hey, I might actually attend the signing, and it's oh no, I guess not because the dates don't align. Oh well.
Yeah. Anyway, so in my preparation again, I'm sifting through boxes and boxes of comics, which let's just say can be maddening. Knowing what you're looking for helps, but still, there's a lot to go through. Just to make sure you haven't missed anything, going to into the deep archives, let's call it. I made kind of a number of basically I broke down the days and the guests, and again, ever changing as it was. But basically, towards the tail, towards the big Comic-Con day, I was was making these little I made a little kind of like to-do list of sorts for each day, just to kind of prepare for things and go check the map and everything, is kind of plot out a course, that kind of stuff. I'm geared up. I got the old school camera. I got I got the old trusty top loader, the big plastic thing you put posters and stuff in, artwork and such. And I had so for the Baltimore Comic-Con, I had crafted 2 thank you letters, which I like to do often. I like to write a thank you letter to express my thanks and gratitude for the the creators and artists, etc., who attend the convention, and because they got long lines, there's a lot of things you want to say. There's going to be pressure of like, oh God, how much do you just dump on the person, before.
For me, whenever I've met anyone famous, my whole thing is just like, okay, I just want one talking point that they can actually
Yep.
like remember me by. So that's why when I met Greg Sestero, I related to the whole like, dude, I totally, when I was reading The Disaster Artist, I totally had David Fincher in my head too. And Sestero was like, I know, right? The Social Network, Twisted Friendships. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. So
there you go.
So that's kind of my strategy, is just have one talking point.
So I mean, traditionally,
and it was like, hey, am I the only one that's come to you with The Lion King and not stoner comedy shit? Anyways.
Anyway, so traditionally the thank you letters have gone over really well, most notably with Stefan Kapusik.
Mm-hmm.
So it sometimes a kind word goes a long way, and we'll see how it goes this year. All right, so one other thing, I'm threading a needle here. So unfortunately, this year, none of my friends, for various reasons, were able to attend attend the convention with me this year. So I was, well, initially I was all by my lonesome, and then, well, frankly, out of pity, I feel my mother decided to accompany me all 3 days. See, traditionally, here's the thing. So traditionally, my family and I, we go on Sunday because that's the tradition. My father took me the first time way back when, and the mothers kind of tagged along, and now basically, it's because I had sometimes you need extra bodies in line to get extra books signed,
Yeah,
and I
sure,
don't know,
sure.
I think it was pity, some vague intrigue, and just kind of worked out that way. All right, so let's get to Friday. So Friday. It's Friday. On okay, now, folks, we're gonna start some visual aids here. We're gonna just fingers crossed this is gonna work okay. All right, so I'm gonna shift over here to a visual aid to kind of get things started. Right. Oh, sorry. Just give me 1 sec here, folks. Just gotta reopen the thing.
They're
Hold
good. They
on.
can see our little avatars for a second. It's not going to hurt them.
Yeah.
Look, everybody, I'm Bob.
There we go. I think we got it. It's coming up. Ah. Okay. Voila.
Okay, got it.
All right. Okay. So this I'm going to give you a little, also kind of a taste of what I was wearing per day, because I like to dress up. Not in a full costume, because if I dressed up in my full costumes, I wouldn't be able to get anything signed because I'd be stopped every second, and it would just be it'd be a nightmare.
Right.
I don't know how they do it, but God love them for the folks that dress up. All right. So in kind of very much Deadpool and Wolverine on the brain. I had my Deadpool core shirt at the ready, so I figured I'd wear this. Also, I was sporting my Wolverine facial hair because this year I actually cracked the code on how the heck do you get the Wolverine facial hair going?
Wait, so you actually grew out like a Wolverine beard?
Yeah, as a second, I did.
Nice, nice.
I did it for the movie during the premiere, and then I cracked the code. I'm like, I wonder what would happen if I just shaved like certain specific.
Because as you know, I grew out the Heisenberg one year.
Yeah, well, I think the Wolverine one worked because for years I always wondered like, how the heck do I get it that way? And then I studied basically because I studied every frame of that Deadpool Wolverine movie. And it's like, okay, this is how it goes. I just looked at the picture of Hugh Jackman. It's like, okay, this is how you get it, just right.
Right.
Anyway, so I kind of grew that out for a second time for this. All right, so as I mentioned, I have thank you letters, at the ready. So again, I was really trying to get it right and agonizing over things. So it was kind of a last minute sort of deal. So Friday morning, it's a later in the day kind of affair. You're going to it's the convention starts later. It's kind of like a post lunchtime sort of thing. Convention starts at 1 o'clock.
I mean, that's
So
appropriate because Jim, it's lunch.
exactly. So I'm thinking Friday should be should be an easier day. So I get up, I'm geared up. The only thing I have to do is I gotta, because it was getting really late. I'm already barely getting any sleep these days. So basically, I basically figured, okay, I'm gonna print the thing in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Problem: printer, complete disaster. Did not
Oh,
print.
good.
Okay, so the thank you letters, which are very critical
I
to the
feel like it's
plan.
it's it, it's a conspiracy that printers just fuck up on you right when you need them to work, right? Like every time.
Yeah. So basically, the objective for day one is like, let's get all the biggies out of the way, all the super big guests, basically our thank you letter guys, and anyone major, along with all the really heavy books. So the idea is in my trusty roller bag, which is where I keep all the comics traditionally. Kind of roll them around because just given the volume and the size and just like the heft of them, don't want to carry that. You want to roll it around.
Mm-hmm.
So the point is, I get all the heavy stuff out of the way. So I would again, the plan's always kind of been this every year, but this is this year I finally thought I cracked the code. I can actually get it done, achievable because it's not a numerous amount of people I need to see this year. So anyway, so already off to a terrible start. I'm stressed out as can be. Again, like the thing it won't print. I know the solution, but I don't have time to enact the solution because I thought today was going to be an easy day, which means so begrudgingly I have to go without the thank you notes printed, which means I'm going to have to pull double duty in the days that follow because I have to somehow circumvent a line just to give these people those thank you notes somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Which is basically that's a tomorrow problem. So right now, just going to grab some lunch on the way, you get there an hour early. There's a wait, but again, in getting there an hour early, worked out really well all 3 days. Beating all the major lines. Again, the trick is on day one though, there are 3 lines simultaneously that are expected to be probably big. I gotta think whose line do I get into first. Anyway, so that brings me to guest numero uno, who was very much a thank you letter target. Jeff Loeb.
Mm.
Yes, the wonderful Jeff Loeb. You're familiar with Jeff Loeb, are you?
I mean, I know the name. You're gonna have to remind me exactly what his credits are. I'm sure I'll remember.
Okay, so Jeff Loeb, famously part of a duo. He and Tim Sale, who did Batman Long Halloween, Spider-Man Blue, Daredevil
Okay, right,
Yellow.
right. Yeah, all you had to say was Long Halloween,
Pretty
basically.
much Long Halloween and basically the Marvel Color series, as it's kind of nicknamed. Basically, all like the kind of the emotional periods, like early years of the characters, like like Spider-Man Blue is like Spider-Man dealing with the death of Gwen Stacy. Daredevil Yellow, it's Daredevil kind of in the early yellow and red suit era, dealing with Karen Page,
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. And point being, Jeff Loeb, of course, wrote one of the all-time definitive Batman stories in The Long Halloween, and it was a real full circle moment for me because way back when, like not the very first convention, let's say the second convention, like after I stumbled into it for the first time, like the actually brings something there. I met Tim Sale, the artist, who sadly is no longer with us. Tim Sale was the first person I ever met at a convention, and I had him sign my copy of Batman Long Halloween. In fact, just to show you how green I was, it was kind of signed on the cover, which traditionally you get them signed on the inside.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, so Jeff Loeb is very nice. I was at the table. It was like he was a little worried about his daughter. He's like doing like a check, like kind of a dad check-in call with the daughter and everything. Said, "Hey, take your time, man. No rush. That's perfectly fine." Again, I struck it just right. I was like the second or third guy in line, so I did it really well, like right off the bat, because I was expecting Loeb to be like around the block, kind of packed and busy. Unfortunately, Loeb is with Central Sequential, which is one of the two, basically kind of the official kind of like signature kind of like basically they sponsor and represent the comic artists and writers, and basically they're the reasons that they charge through the nose these days versus.
Unions! How dare you get those artists a living wage? All right, I'm kidding, obviously.
Yeah. The point being, essential sequential is the reason. Like there used to be like book. There used to be like a book limit, where nowadays it's more like okay, screw the book limit. You're paying for everything.
Right.
It
Yeah.
used to be like one freebie, and then you get a signature. Then it's like it's per book, which that's reasonable, I think. But
Mm.
anyway, so he was very nice. Admittedly, I got 9 books signed, so it's a little pricey, but compared to it's not like a Jim Lee signature. Jim Lee's like 50 per signature, so it's not that. Thank goodness.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, the point being, Jeff Loeb, it was nice. I can wish I had that thank you note, but
Right.
But things went really well there, and also he really sweet of him too. Here's things. So nowadays the creators, this is what's really. It used to be the special thing where the creators would just sometimes they draw like a little doodle in the books, or they'd write like they call it a remark, like they write something kind of cutesy in the book, or they do like a little mini sketch or something. Jeff Loeb, unprompted and without charging or anything, he basically it wasn't like a full on like doodle, but he basically wrote like in the like around where he signed in the book, he wrote like Batman saying "boo," which is like from the original comic, and
Yeah, I
like
remember that panel. Yeah.
and Superman, Superman for All Seasons, which basically is one of the things James Gunn's pulling from with his new movie.
Yep.
He wrote like up and away, like a little word balloon next to the picture of Superman, which was like again really nice, And
Oh,
again, like he also has had the kind. I told him about the whole Tim Sale thing, and he signed. I asked him like if he would mind signing on the inside of the book as well as the outside, and he did. He did for me, which is really nice of him.
nice.
All right. Because like you have the guy who's gonna be real chinchy about it and really be like like hey no you only get one signature I was prepared and say okay if I have to give one I'm gonna have the front sign to be next to Tim Sale's signature etc.
Sure.
Like, anyway, okay, so next was the guest of honor
Oh
at
boy.
the convention. Okay, so every con there's like a big guest of honor who basically gets the yearbook, who gets like they're represented or celebrated in some way, shape, or form on like on the cover of the yearbook that they sell. Which I was kicking. I'm still kind of kicking myself for not getting this yearbook because the yearbook's like a scam. It's like they want you to buy the thing that's exclusive to the convention, and it's like I never saw the value in it until now, where the idea is that apparently if you did get the yearbook, every artist who has done a page in the yearbook is obligated to sign for free. So there is a benefit to it.
Oh, yeah, for
But
sure.
by the same token, though, it's still like it's kind of like a scavenger hunting. So there is value to the yearbook. The only problem is every yearbook has a character that basically every artist at the convention who agreed to do the yearbook has done a version of the celebrated character in their style. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's tempting, but usually the characters aren't really like a character. It's usually like an indie character. A character's like, okay, we've done something kind of silly.
Right.
But
Okay.
sometimes it's like a guest of honor, like the Scary Godmother was like a couple of years back, and I love Scary Godmother. And that one would have been
Sure.
tempting. This year was the ultimate tempting one that I kind of wish I did, but they raised the price of the sketchbook, and I already had something for this guy to sign. All right, so here we go. Next one. Well, I'm sorry, not yet. Let me just tell you this. The Hulk, here, a big landmark of the convention for years, disappeared. Finally made its
No.
epic return.
Oh, nice.
This is from circa 2008. This is from the Edward Norton Hulk, if you notice.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, yeah, so this is the kind of like the kind of the mascot of the convention for me. The idea was like, if you ever get lost, meet by the Hulk.
Right. That makes sense. That checks out.
Anyway, sorry about that distraction. So again, big reveal, guest of honor, Ben Edlund, the
Big
creator.
reveal, Morty. It's going to be huge.
So Ben Edlund, the creator of the
Nice.
Tick, was there.
Yeah, that's definitely a big name for sure.
And look at how great this sketchbook cover looks. It's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I was really excited to see Ben Edlund. Of course, love the Amazon Tick. I love pretty much I love the Tick in his media representation. Nothing against the comic, just the comic is limited run because
Everything against Amazon for canceling that show way too soon. Rest in peace.
Yep. Anyway, so his line was not around the block, but it was like I'm glad I got there when I did because it did fill up.
Uh-huh.
That's what I'm saying. It's like I hit these lines just right before they went around the block because the lines did increase in size. So I luckily hit my 3 big lines on day one really well. Anyway, so again, he was like the only real weight, honestly, of the whole really of the I want to say of the whole convention. He's the only like real weight. And again, real weight in quotes, because again, it's like maybe like a realistically, okay, it's probably like 10, 12 people in front of you, but like that's nothing compared to like a Scott Snyder line or something, you know.
Sure, yeah.
Anyway, so Ben Edlund, I was curious because I had no idea how Ben Edlund would be in person. He was very nice, and he was so nice. In fact, again, just showing kind of like this is a guy didn't charge for a single thing. And even better, again, he would draw everything on a whim. You couldn't get this guy to stop drawing. Like he would do these little sketches of the Tick. Now, again, this what I'm about to show you is not the one that I got, but this is just an example of what he was doing for people.
Oh, nice,
That's
yeah.
pretty nice, you know. That's what I'm saying. Like I had like a little again. Had I known, I would have brought. Here's the thing: I only had like one Tick comic that I bought. All my Tick stuff is an animation essentially, and again, I haven't really. It's the Tick's not exactly easy to come by on DVD these days. It's not impossible, but it's like just getting the whole series.
Oh man, that's funny because I remember when those DVDs of the animated show and the Warburton show were like plentiful at my local comic shop.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Maybe I shouldn't say it's impossible. You can get it on Amazon, but it's like they're to get what you really want. It's like I want the Warburton one with the commentary and everything, and again, that's kind of like a slight rigmarole, and like getting the series is like it's a little pricier than it probably should be because I'm quibbling over that one. The point being that it's not impossible with the Tick, but had they had the Amazon Tick on DVD, they would have bought that in a heartbeat,
Yeah, I mean, and again, it's like I feel like you and I have kind of talked about this time and time again, where it's like companies are just incredibly resistant for some reason to release streaming shows on DVD.
Yeah. The point being, unfortunately, I didn't have any Tick on DVD on hand. I had an opportunity to maybe get it, but I figured, I get like the one Tick comic because apparently Tick comics are a little hard to find. I had like one in my comic shop, and I got it. Just to have something because I had no idea what it was going to be like to meet him because it was like the first time he's ever been to the Baltimore Comic-Con. Apparently, I brought a blank sheet of paper he would have drawn on, which would have been in hindsight. So I mean, I had like these note cards because in the past people have done sketch cards, but they didn't have the cards. So I brought like some blank note cards. So I had him like draw a little sketch of the Tick's head on a note card.
Oh God!
It was again really. It was really cool meeting him. I was tasked. I got wind that he was going to be there, so I told Captain Logan about this, and he gave me some questions to ask him.
Ooh, okay.
And I got answers to pretty much all of them. Again, I was expecting to see.
We got like a little brief like question and answer Q&A thing in the middle of this podcast. All right.
Pretty much, yeah. Basically, so long story short, I don't want to bore you with all the details, but let's just say I had the Amazon Tick had gone on, we would have found out what happened to Superior. Superior, basically the guy. Again, Ben Edlund's kind of hard to tell how serious he's being, but the answer that he gave me, that I relayed to our buddy, to Captain Logan over at Geek Flotion, was basically he was like the General Zod of his planet. He was like he was the reject from his own planet, and basically all of his alien race. The reason he was rejected was silly and ridiculous and classic Edlund. All the other basically essentially Kryptonians or Superians, if you will, they all had Brando hair. He did not.
Oh my God!
Like they all glowed. They all had glowing Brando hair.
That totally sounds like a Tick thing for sure. Just something built out of pure vanity.
Exactly. So there was that. They definitely wanted to do a fourth season.
Isn't the Viltrumite hierarchy literally based upon mustaches too? So
it's not purely based. It's part of the way of life. It's not the only thing though.
So it's like if you're just one of those people that just can only grow like one of those like pencil mustaches, you're fucked in the Viltrumite society.
I think that's the whole game. Mark is only half. He's only half Viltrumite.
Right.
He doesn't. He's like the only Viltrumite. Literally, the only male Viltrumite without a mustache is for that. I think every Viltrumite man has a mustache. Anyway, so I asked him. Cap wanted me to ask him if there are plans to why not do a fourth season of the Tick, and the reason was the networks got wind that the kids weren't enjoying. Basically, adults were the only ones buying the toys and watching the show, which again was not what they wanted to hear. They wanted the kids to watch the show and buy the toys, which is a stupid reason, but that's essentially why the Tick did not get renewed for a fourth season. And that was network thinking back then. It's just like, well,
sadly that checks out.
Of course, now today it's like, there's an audience for this. Yes, let's still sell it.
Right.
Right, and also there are plans in the next adaptation of the Tick, which he is saying there are plans. He's hoping one day do more Tick adaptations. The next Tick adaptation might get into the origin of the Tick, which Cap wanted to know because it looked like we might have been hinting at that in the pilot of the Amazon Tick. So
Mhm.
there were plans eventually to kind of get into that. Anyway, okay, so meeting Ben Edlund was great, and around Ben Edlund you had like the Tangled Penny kind of exhibit, the Tangled Penny booth. Now, this is basically this lady does these macrame kind of crocheted little figurines of comic book characters, and they're wonderful, as you can kind of see here. This is Deadpool and Wolverine.
I love the little smiley faces on the food.
Yep, you'll notice some of those tacos are cat tacos.
Oh my god, of course.
See, see, look at the sale there. Tacos $3. The
Uh
taco kits and violence is anyway.
huh.
Anyways, of course, also it's Deadpool with the Avengers mug for Deadpool 3. Let's see. Here's some of the ones I've shown you last year. Well, she added a few. She had a few finger puppets. If you notice in the foreground there, you got Wolverine and Deadpool as
Mhm.
finger puppets. Only reasonably priced ones of the bunch too. I'm gonna have you say that's the. I'm so tempted to buy these, but they're a lot.
Right,
Like
right.
the big ones, like see the ones hanging on the side there of Aziraphale from Good Omens, like the little
Sure,
one.
sure, yeah.
That's like I want to say those range from like 45 to 50.
Mm,
That's what I'm saying. Like
I
if you
mean
told me
that is a pretty penny, but I will say, having been in a theme park for a week, that's about what I would expect to pay for something like that in a theme park. So
the problem is like all of hers are amazing. Look at the Stan Lee and Captain America and Tony
right.
Stark in the background there, and then we have there's a little Batman. See, Batman's like 45 for like a little one.
Uh huh. Uh huh.
There's a bunch of little ones. I'm impressed by Deadpool here without the mask on, and you can put the mask on if you
Oh,
so
that's cool.
choose.
Yeah.
And you got a Superman there. It's yeah, it's pretty cool. All right. Anyway, so basically, so my third target, I'm basically circling. So the third target was Amanda Connor and Jimmy Palmiotti. We're going to be there. It's been a while since I've seen them. The created, but not the ones who did the new 52 take on Harley Quinn, which basically informs the HBO the HBO Max Harley Quinn show, but in general, just kind of like the rebranded Harley that inspired some of the Suicide Squad, everything like that. So it's very much that was their take on it. And Amanda Connor is a tremendous artist who's worked on a number of things like Power Girl was like the big thing that they did together. They're a husband wife duo. They do great work and just really lovely people. I've met
Uh
them
huh.
before, but it's been a long while since I've seen them. So I had a few books to get signed by them anyway. So I figured they usually have a big line because they're very popular. So they were the ones I was a little worried about, but so I kind of missed my window there because of how long the Edlin line took. But I could catch them later, so they were going to be the ones I was kind of sweating on until later. And again, Amanda Connor Jim only have a book limit. So this is the one I needed help with. Okay, so I basically it's like I take one, my mother gets the other one. We get them signed. And there's another person there I was anticipating who was going to be there. Mark Wade. Mark Wade's there like every year. He wasn't there this year.
Oh no.
He wasn't there this year, and he was billed to be there, and I was completely shocked. I had Mark Wade books with me, which I was kicking myself for because Mark Wade got sick at the last minute. Nothing serious, just a cold, but still, he got sick at the last minute. So that was not great.
Uh huh.
He would find a replacement though, and that guy's going to have a story. However, I should say that when any time like you hear a comic creator at the last minute canceled or because he got sick, you do have fears, you have worries because usually that's a sign of something bad's happened. Like they're kind of reaching their last legs or something untoward might be happening to them. Of course, something similar happened this year with John Cassaday.
Uh huh.
We
Right.
mentioned
Right.
on memoirs, John Cassidy again. I was he was going to be there. I wasn't necessarily going to see him this year, but he was going to be there. And yeah, he initially canceled. No reason as to why, and then we found out. Oh God, he must have been gravely ill. Like when he canceled, like the month ahead of time, and then he passed. And they set up this for him. I've dressed it up a little with the awesome Wolverine cosplay before you. But if you notice, in the way back there, there's the little so that this table here. I'm not sure if you can see me circling it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that little table, that was a memorial table for John Cassidy, which is really classy. They kind of they set up his table as if he were there, and they had this little booklet
Oh,
where
that's
you could
very classy. That's nice.
they had
Yeah.
this little booklet out where you could like write something nice about him. And I mean, on day one, I agonized over. I don't know if I have anything really to kind of like kind of stop everything and really just kind of concentrate on like what to say about the man. It's kind of like it was. I don't know. It felt weird. It's like dealing with kind of grieving and kind of like a in a way like that. While you're at the convention.
It's
I
kind of
don't know.
like a different energy than your letters because it's like, it's not just personal. It's like you're going out to like everyone that was a fan of him. You know what I
Right. And it's
mean?
also unexpected too, where it's like you didn't expect this. I knew he wasn't going to be there, but I didn't know like, oh god, they're going to set up like a whole memorial for him. You feel compelled to do something nice, right?
Uh-huh. All right, really quick in the comments, we got Little Blue acknowledging this year marks the Tick's 30th anniversary. So yeah,
Might have been the other reason why. That's probably
right, right. Also, Kogia says Batman The Long Halloween is one of my favorite comments, and he has not seen the Tick. Well, Kogias, get on the Amazon one at least, even though it sucks that show got canceled before its time.
which
Anyway,
Ed Lynn was not thrilled with, by the way, either.
yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yep. But I did tell him though, if they're gonna go out, at least they why not say in Spoon.
Exactly, exactly.
Yep. All right, let's see. So, anyways, again, also seriously, this is one of my favorite cosplays of the whole thing. Look how great that is. Looks just like the movie. How
Oh
insanely
yeah,
cool
it's
is
great.
that?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, so this was really a delay here. They usually set up stuff like this, but the Supernatural car was there this year, and I had already posed with the Supernatural car. I did not expect to find this though. It's the Ecto One,
Oh my god, of course.
but not just the Ecto One. This is even better. In my heart of hearts, when I heard like the Ecto One was there, I hoped this would be the case, and I was so elated to find out because I learned all about these guys in a documentary a few years back. So there's a thing called ghost heads. Now, ghost heads, Tiki, basically in real life, kind of like is kind of like a a massive kind of fan effort. The ghost people basically have like sects of Ghostbusters, like all across the states. It's like every state pretty much has like a chapter of the Ghostbusters there. Like basically, people doing outreach and just dressing up and having the car and basically forming their own version of the Ghostbusters for like promotional events and stuff like this. And the proceeds go to charity, like nonprofit, like a nonprofit Ghostbusters thing. And it goes to they have like basically it was a suicide awareness thing.
Nice, nice.
It was really cool. Anyway, so now they had a really great setup here because they're playing the Ghostbusters music. You have the Ecto One. They're all dressed like in the suits between the first two movies, and we have like all sorts of cool stuff like set up on their tables. You got the you have like the the button that Janine presses, and like the "We got one." They're called the Charm City Ghostbusters, by the way, which is a really cool little logo. I bought a shirt from and everything for Halloween. It's like the little, it's a little flag along with like the mustache on the ghost is like there's a mascot in Maryland called Bose. He's like I think it's like a beer thing. I don't know. He's
Oh
just
god,
kinda like
okay.
I remember like when I went into the city, like you'd see like the little like the logo and the icons kind of there. So it's pretty much like a little promotional thing,
Uh-huh.
like a distillery or something. Anyway, now this is really cool. You got Slimer there.
Nice, nice.
Yep. Also, like Stay Puft marshmallows and everything in there, and the Twinkie. There's the Twinkie on the table. Yeah. So a whole bunch of awesome props there. Which, by the way, you could touch them and you can like these weren't like the actual props. They're just like replicas, but they're really nice. They have like the trap. You got the proton pack. This toaster. That's the slime toaster from the second one, which, by the way, has a sensor in it, so it would dance like it did in the movie.
Oh, okay,
It
okay.
was incredible. And this setup's really cool here too. This is where they have a bunch of collected slime. They have that's where you put the money for the suicide awareness and the little Slimer bank there. And this is like the little shock thing that little negative reinforcement shock shock test that Peter Venkman did. Which if you actually hooked yourself up to it, it would shock you.
Uh-huh.
At least that's what he told me. I wasn't going to be the one to try it. All right, let's see. So, okay. Anyway, so I'm going around. I one of my targets there was Dan Jurgens. Now, Dan Jurgens is the man who killed Superman. Great Superman writer. Um, to my surprise, I was expecting, he was going to be charging for all of them based on what I found online. But to my delight, he offered one freebie, which it worked perfectly for my purposes because the main thing I had to get signed was because again I had like 2 to 3 books. So basically, that worked out nicely between the company that I had to get everything signed. One
Uh-huh.
per. Anyway, so the big thing I got signed is almost like a giant yearbook, if you will. And I have an omnibus of Death of Superman. I've gone around throughout the couple of years at the convention. I've had all the people involved in the writing and the art on Death of Superman sign that big book. So now I got Dan Jurgens, and Dan Jurgens it was like the last one I needed, one of the last ones I needed for the book. He was like the biggie I needed to sign that book because I only had the idea a couple of years back versus when I actually saw him at a convention. All right. Anyway, so that worked out. Anyway, so then there was so Greg Land is an artist who worked on the symbiote Spider-Man stuff, and I'd seen him before. He had no line, no book limit, nothing. I got pretty much everything I needed signed by him up to that point. All the comics that I had from when he just kept making the books. I remember he told me like, "Hey, check out the next one. It's gonna have Hobgoblin," and it was awesome.
Nice.
So I go to him here. He's got a book limit this year, and he basically became the new Mark Waid. He was the guy I would have to see all 3 days to get like two books signed per, and everything day one goes smoothly. Put a pin in that.
Oh God. Okay.
And
Cryptic.
meanwhile, I'm still killing time for Amanda Khan or Jimmy Palmiotti. So I'm scouting out the Legos. I'm not buying the Legos yet, but I'm scoping them out. I usually buy the Legos on a different day.
Dragon, speaking of Lego, I am so curious what you think of that new Pharrell Williams movie.
Well, I haven't seen the movie, if that's what you're asking.
But like, what do you think of it? Just what do you think of its existence, though?
I mean, I think if you're going to shake up the the biopic or the documentary, I mean, it's a weird.
I mean, Pharrell is like definitely not on my short list of people that I would want to see a documentary or a biopic about in general. But yeah, I'm kind of with you. It's like, it's an interesting enough concept. I'm kind of willing to see how it plays out. Anyways.
All right, I just want to give you kind of an idea of like what scoping it out looks like, and it's all the
Sure.
tempting choices, like all the Wolverine variants. Yeah. Anyway. All right. Okay. So again, day one goes. The day one isn't as lengthy as the other days. So anyway, so I'm doing recon on the Legos. I'm trying to. Katie Cook's going to be there this year. Now, Katie Cook is this wonderful watercolor artist who I've basically been she does these cute little watercolors on these little small cards for you, like at the table, and they're really impressive. And she's really talented. And sometimes she has quite the line though. So I mean, unfortunately, that was the case for Friday because I was looking forward to getting stuff by
Now,
her.
this name sounds familiar. You've seen her before, right? You've
Oh yeah,
commissioned her before. Yeah, that's what I
I
thought.
have commissioned her before. Like last year, I think I showed you the Daredevil She-Hulk thing. The
Yeah.
like the Vanessa and the Kingpin.
Uh
I had her do Norma Bates one year.
huh.
Anyway, that's what I'm saying. She does cute. She specializes in cute art. So I myself love cute art. Anyway, so big name Ryan Otley, one of the men responsible for Invincible, the comic, the artist, essentially the main artist on
Artist.
Invincible.
Okay.
So again, you have Kirkman doing the writing. Ryan Otley is the main artist. You can kind of tell in his style that's where the predominantly Invincible style derives from Ryan Otley's art. And then you have David Crabtree and others he working on as well.
Uh-huh.
Not taken away from Crabtree. I'm just saying Otley's like the guy. So I had a few things signed by him, but unfortunately, Ryan Otley is at the sketched art booth.
Dun dun dun.
The sketched art booth is the bane of my existence. In that these guys, they're the ones who I hate sketched art because they're the ones who, but even before Essential Sequential was like a thing. Essential Sequential is like, okay, that's like a professional kind of a thing. Sketched art is like this. They're the ones who started like, hey, we're going to recruit the artists because they're not doing anything. We're going to recruit the artists and the writers who formerly didn't have a care in the world, just went to the conventions, did their thing.
Right.
And then
Right.
these guys come up to us and say, like, hey, sign on with us. We'll get you the real money.
Dragon, is this a red shirts thing or is it like something even more nefarious than the red shirts?
Well, so speaking of the red shirts, While you may or may not later see them in red shirts, predominantly they were in orange and purple shirts this year.
Okay, well, yeah, I knew that much. I knew that they change shirts every year, but they
Well,
were
don't you want to know the new nickname?
unaffectionately known as red shirts.
Like, you want to know the nickname for them this year?
Sure.
The sports fans, or the old sports. What sounds better, the old sports or the sports fans?
I like old sports. I feel
Yeah.
like there's very much a Gatsby kind of charm to that.
It was the old sports. Again, I say the old sports because you have the Ravens for purple, you have the Orioles for orange. That's why those colors
Okay.
were chosen.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the old sports, traditionally not very helpful. They weren't really as intrusive or just kind of like irritating as per usual. But they were very much, when you see these guys, it's not good news because they're the ones at the end of the lines holding the line caps. Or I'm asking, like, hey guys, how much is the yearbook this year? Well, we don't know. Go to the information booth. Do you know? Nope, we don't know. We're the information booth, so none of that helps.
Right.
However, I mean, more so sketch art though. The old sports and the red shirts, whoever the minions. Technically, their names are minions, but it's the old sports is what we colorfully called them.
Uh-huh.
Sketch art's the ones they're the ones always going for the big money, and it's like sketch art's like they post like the rates, and they're subject to change, and it's always like it's. I can never trust these sketch art guys, and it's always like they to me they've sullied like they've kind of sullied the charm of like meeting the celebrity creators,
So it's pretty much like I'm trying to think of an equivalent in the theme park community, and it sounds like it's pretty much just like the practice of like, let's say, like up charges to skip the line and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and kind of sullying the natural experience of the theme park. You know what I mean? It's like, but if you want to, but you have to play ball with that shit if you want to actually get stuff done.
And the reason here's why some people are thinking like, wait, but you don't think the creators should be? Absolutely, the creators should get paid. Like, back in the day, Scott Snyder, 5 books for free, and then after that, then there was a charge, and that's how you could separate like the people who's trying to fill like the holes in
Well,
their
it's one of those
collections.
things where the way that you describe it, I kind of take it as like these people are almost like, kind of like Emperor Palpatining these artists, like, hey, you could get a lot more money if you do it this way. Whisper in your ear, whisper in your ear,
And
whisper in
again, it's a convincing
your ear.
sales pitch because the whole thing of like, hey, DC and or Marvel, they're not paying you enough. They're not giving you the rights to these characters. You need
Right.
to. And again, it's like yes, they deserve the recognition. They deserve all this, but still, it's just the fact of like every year, and this is how you know it's bad. Okay, it starts off like, okay, before there was no limit, then it's like, okay, limit of 5, and then that's pre-sketch art. Then maybe eventually sketch art like starts to 5 and it goes to 3, and then it goes to 1, and now it's the point where no freebies. That's what I'm saying. Every year, sketch art just keeps pushing them to like less free, like less gimmies.
Sure.
No gimmies, and that's to me, that's the despicable
And it
part of it.
basically
And
sounds like the equivalent of like a greedy Hollywood agent
yeah,
who won't let their artists like, take roles that are lucrative to them from a creative standpoint just because it might not be lucrative from a financial standpoint.
and in part the reason a lot of people wonder like why do these celebrities charge in part, and there's a couple of reasons for it. One of the reasons is that people do flip the autographs and try to get money off of it. Now,
Right.
I would attest that again, with comics, you have the CGC thing, which means you're not really going to get any money off them unless you CGC, which is why, like, for example, like the way I think it should be is like, okay, you offer the freebies, and if people get an inordinate amount of comics, then it turns like $5 a book to discourage that, so people aren't clogging up the lines. And then you have the CGC guys, which CGC is like an added charge. Like if let's say you got a book signed for $5, CGC makes it 10, maybe 15. And that's because those are the guys who are going to flip it for a profit. That's basically when you CGC something that for the most part, that's like eventually I have the intent to sell this, or I really want to make this like a collector. I'm going to slab this right after I get it signed. That's essentially what CGC is. I'm going to put it behind glass, which again, to each his own. I get it, but that's something you do. Only something very special, very specific. Because again, I understand. But again, the fact that we're doing
in the realm of concerts, scalping is definitely a big issue. So I can kind of relate to it in that way.
So in that regard, I understand the need for protectiveness, but it just still feels like, like getting like one at the bare minimum, like one to a few things signed of like just given the breadth of like these artists and writers have worked on so many characters. You want a variety of like I would like my Batman sign, I would like my Flash sign, I would like one of each.
Well,
You
I
know what
mean,
I mean? Like
so going back to that Elvira thing that I mentioned, Dragon, because I feel like this is kind of relevant to that. So basically, with the Elvira thing, you're not allowed to just bring anything in to get signed.
uh-huh.
You need to buy
The eight
specific
by
merch,
10.
and you also need to pay like $80 just for the privilege of attending the thing in the first place.
Yeah.
So there's like the purchase of the merch plus the $80 buy-in just to be there. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like, I can whereas when you figure the fact that like Elvira was at the farm for literally 20 years performing, 2 times a night, 5 nights a week, it's like, yeah, that doesn't really add up. And I get the sense that Cassandra was not the one to implement that. I get the sense that if it was all up to Cassandra, she'd probably just be like, yeah, anyone can come in and get whatever signed. But anyways.
All right, anyway, well, again, we'll touch more on these specific like celebrities later on that
Sure,
one,
sure.
like kind of our media celebrities. But anyway, so right now, like, wasn't terribly priced, but still, it's the fact that like it's $10 a signature. I had 4 things to really get signed. Basically my 2 volumes of Invincible that I had, and 2 volumes of Invincible. One of the first things he did, which was this really cool Batman Superman. It's basically it's from the Batman Superman comics that Ed McGuinness did, and Joe Kelly wrote. Now Joe Kelly wrote this, and what's special about this is the only time Deadpool appeared in a DC comic, because Joe Kelly, the Deadpool writer, he found a way to sneak Deadpool into a DC comic by having a character who's like basically Deadpool, but he's trying to introduce himself, but he gets cut off every time by Deathstroke. And he's basically Deadpool dressed exactly like Deathstroke, but the colors are reversed.
Uh-huh.
So that's how we did. Like Deadpool's there to save Bruce Wayne, or Deathstroke is there to kill Bruce Wayne. Anyway, so it's a very special comic. So I wanted to get that signed. And it's apparently where one of the early things that he did, and also he had like the first issue of Spider-Man that he did when they brought him onto the book recently. Okay. All right, let's see. So moving on from Ryan Otley again. So on the flip side of that, again, Ryan Otley was very sweet. He's very nice about it. He and I are geeking out about the show, and he's very proud of the show. He's on there as a creative consultant, so he's involved in along with Kirkman. So really good stuff there.
Nice.
So then I again killing time to get to Amanda Connor. I meet. I have a Deadpool comic to get signed by Jim Calafiore. This guy, complete opposite. This is what it should be. They have the Hero Initiative guys. The Hero Initiative guys basically have like a tip jar. So, we appreciate a tip. They're talking like $1 or $2. Like $1. Like it's like a little, just whatever you can, kind of a thing to put in there out of gratitude. And that money directly goes to like the comic book defense fund for like the like the
I have
Bill
a random
Fingers.
question for you when it comes to tip etiquette.
Yeah, what do you got?
Does it piss you off when like because back before I went back on the Island Dragon,
Mm-hmm.
Wednesday nights I was going to a big band jazz club every Wednesday. And there were a few nights where I would literally be the only person dropping in like, $5-10 into the tip jar. And I'm like, okay, I'm a broke ass 30 something who has like a dead end job. Most of the rest of you fuckers in here are like old money fucks who come from like, like literally like generations of wealth in Petaluma. Like, what's up? You can't tip a few dollars? Like, have you ever been in a situation like that where you have tipped, but because nobody else is tipping, you almost feel like you borderline feel like you have a responsibility to tip more? I don't know. I'm curious about the etiquette of that.
Well, I mean, here's the thing I have. I have something a little different. I have the thing where the Hero Initiative, like it's, for example, there's a number of creators will have like the little Hero Initiative, kind of cup there. But then there's the matter of like, okay, how much do I tip if I've already tipped into like it's all going to the same cause, but it's at different tables, like that kind of thing. Like,
Sure,
okay,
sure.
it's like, 'cause I've done. It's essentially you've done your tip for the day. That way, you kind of want to spread. That's where the ones come in handy. So basically, it's a matter of like,
Kind
I'm
of
with
like
you.
when I go to my jazz stuff, I buy a drink, and that's the money that I'm giving towards the venue, and then the tips are going to be obviously for the band themselves.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's what I'm saying. I guess what I'm saying is you have to. I feel your pain. You have to be strategic about the tipping because there is a duty to tip. There's a duty and there's a
Yeah,
responsibility
but
to.
there's a lot of assholes that do not view it that way.
Yeah. But you know what happens when that happens? You make a big show of the tip just to rub it in their faces, like, hey,
I
here
try,
you
Drake, and
go.
I try to like get up like right after the song and make a big show of it. Like, hey, look at me! I'm putting like a $10 bill in here. That's about as much as I can afford. I'm
Well,
sure some of you that money's literally toilet paper.
you know what you got to do. Okay, here's what you got to do next time. All right,
Okay.
get up. Like, is it like on the piano or something? Like, where's the jar?
No, it's just kind of like the tip jar is kind of just on a stool in the center of the band.
Here's the thing. Okay, so you walk up to where the stool is. Okay, you turn, you face the crowd, you pull the money out, you do like the little like the little fold thing with the bill, like the you know
Yes, yes.
you know what I mean, like the whole like
Yeah.
like so like just the demonstrate, and you look at him like you put it in. Basically, you show them how it's done. Like, guys, this is how you tip.
For sure, for sure.
Okay, you pull out of the wall, you walk up there, you look at them, you pull it out, you do the little you do a little like fold presentation, and then you put it in and you tap the jar like good jar, good tip. You walk back to your seat, you sit down, and you just kind of without saying a word, you just go, like you fold your arms with a little nod, like that's
Right,
how it's
right.
done. There you go.
All right, all right.
All right, anyway, so. All right, so Jim Calafiore again, really nice guy. Unfortunately, on day one, it didn't occur to me that oh God, I don't have any small bills.
Oh no, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
the thing where I was trying to get change from, he appreciated the effort. At the end of the day, is like, what, don't worry about it. It's like, okay, thank you so
So
much.
during my Knott's trip, Knott's Berry Farm, they do not want you using cash at all. It's all like card based. But my grandma is very stubborn and she does not like to use the automatic tip system where they give you like suggested tip amounts.
Yep.
So she would just like use cash. And I'm like, okay, like that's fine. But every time I would like white knuckle it, like, is somebody gonna say, like, I'm sorry, ma'am, we don't accept cash here, but since it was a tip, it was fine. They were probably, if anything, the people getting the tip were probably able to just pocket it a lot easier. But
Well,
still, that
yeah.
was definitely a concern on my end.
Yep. So
Anyways.
you pay something with that with like paying the whole like paying cash versus like versus just like paying through card. But sorry, they probably say no, you have to pay through card, you can't pay through cash. But the tip's they're never gonna squabble about the tip.
Right, 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 exactly.
Yep. Because basically, if it goes directly into their pocket, they don't have to share it.
The thing is, I just don't want to get any of them in trouble. Like you never know when a supervisor's watching or whatever. So,
Right. Well, what are
anyway,
they gonna say? Like, well, she just gave it to me,
yeah, I know.
Anyway. All right, let's see. So, okay, finally, Amanda Connor and Jimmy Palmiotti. So they'd done this panel again. When I prepared, had my whole layout and everything. I note down every panel these people have, so I can be around those tables, like hovering to avoid, like the old sports. Historically, the minions are always like saying, "No, don't line up before they show up." Like, "Oh, screw that! No, we're gonna hover. We're gonna linger. We're gonna circle like
I
vultures."
believe the correct term is loitering.
Yeah, or floitering. Well, if you're Floyd Norman, but yes, loitering. We're gonna loiter.
Right, right.
Anyway, so I didn't have to worry about it necessarily. I got there just in time. There's maybe like two people ahead of me, so again, I hit that just right. But they weren't back yet from their panel, so there was a bit of a wait there. But they got back. So Jimmy Palmiotti showed up first. Amanda Connor, his wife, she basically was texting him saying she's hitting the bathroom. So essentially, I'm actually scratch that. I think I was the first in line on this day. So basically, Amanda Connor's like a 3-day target. So that's what I'm conflating it with. The point being, so I'm there. I think I'm the first person in line. So I get the pleasure of like, hey, Jimmy Palmiotti's there. I'm getting some one-on-one time with Palmiotti. We're chatting it up.
Nice.
We're talking like the Harley Quinn animated show. We had to share a similar opinion. It's not the later Harley Quinn's not as good as the first two seasons. And he's talking about his history doing the Harley Quinn stuff, for DC, and how DC treated him and everything on it. Basically, they were the go-to Harley writers. That's why because basically he and I were geeking out about it, how awesome his wife is in regards to. I love when Amanda Connor does not only the cover, she's very much she does the writing along with Paul Miotti, but she doesn't always do the art inside the comic because she's so busy doing all the covers. The problem there is, like, again, I love it when she does the cover and the inside of the book. And I told her, man, I love when she does the guts of the book. It's fantastic. It's like, it's just it's, again, her art's so amazing and just the expression work that she does and everything. And, I think he appreciated that. He appreciated, kind of glowing about his wife. Like, I think everyone does. I think he knows everyone adores Amanda Connor and she very much gets a lot of the glory, but, he's there too.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, so we're having a good conversation. I think Jim Paul is very personable. I remember when I first met him, I gushed with him about his Deadpool stuff. He did Deadpool for a brief time. Anyway, so man, Connor, that goes great. She shows up. She's super nice, personable, and all that worked. So man, it kind of worked like a dream. That worked great. Well, let's see. So then, so the round out the day, I see Carl Kessel last. Carl Kessel is, he's like the last vestige of what it used to be. Tiki. Again, Carl Kessel was he was again decent line, but like no charge at all. Took his time with the people. Just
Right,
real.
right,
He
yeah.
was telling you about his original character, Impossible Jones, who basically is kind of like Plastic Man, is like a female version of Plastic Man, who's kind of a villain, kind of a villain to hero sort of thing, kind of an anti-hero kind of vibe. Anyway, again, just back to the humble roots of the convention, like years back when I first went, kind of a thing there. So it's also, there's like kind of like a separation at the convention. You go there, on one side you have kind of the guys who aren't like the huge big tier names, or at the very least these are the humble sorts, which is where Ben Edlund is, which I think was very telling. Okay,
Sure.
so on one side you have people that are barely charging. If they're charging, it's for like if people get like a whole bunch of stuff signed, like that's, which is reasonable. They have like the old, like to
I
the
mean,
right.
basically, this whole thing kind of sounds like an amalgamation of like concert culture in general, like both sides of the coin. The people who are still trying to just put on intimate shows for their fan bases, and then the people who are like, let's sell out arenas and pump out a shit ton of merch and everything is monetized.
Oh yeah. It's really interesting how it's separated like that, because it's always kind of noticed it, but I never really fully occurred to me. Man, literally, like, this whole section is in the old line of thinking. On the far left of the convention, you have that's where both essential, sequential, and sketched art is. It's all on that side, Nickel and dime you for everything. Okay, anyway, so Carl Kessel was he was nice. He even did like a little, got him to sign like a little card for him and everything. Just real nice. I had the strangest feeling I was forgetting something when I saw him, but mother wanted to leave. Given that we were making good, get everything done, and they didn't want to keep her longer than we had to, because we got everything done. Mission day one, pretty, aside from that thank you letter thing, mission accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
So go back. It's the night of. I'm admiring my signed Death of Superman omnibus that got signed by Dan Jurgens, and I had a horrifying realization.
Oh no!
It's like, oh no! I remembered in my planning, I the way I organized everything was Dan Jurgens along with Carl Kessel, because Carl Kessel was one of the signatures I could have also gotten while I was there. So the heaviest book I gotta bring back with me again.
Oh man, that sucks.
It's not just a heavy book; it's the heavy book.
Right.
Like, no.
So that
Why
pretty
did
much
I let her
threw
talk me into leaving? Had I stayed there longer, maybe it would have occurred to me.
that threw your entire day two plans kind of into chaos, I imagine.
Little bit, not entirely, but still, it's like, oh man, it was going to be so much easier.
Right, yeah.
All right, so I fixed the letter problem. So I printed them out. I knew what to do, but I didn't have the time to fix it. So at least I was able to do that. Now it's just a matter of delivering the letters to them. Not waiting in a hugely long line, which again could be the trouble, given it's Jeff
Good
Loeb.
luck.
Yeah.
The freaking red shirts are literally like listening to this podcast right now and just chuckling to themselves.
Oh, just wait. Oh, I got a story for you. Just wait. Okay, so it dawned on me, however, had a moment of enlightenment here. I'm realizing, preparing taking the stuff from Friday, I'm putting the stuff for Saturday in. I realized, oh my God, I've always dreamed of this moment. I actually might be close to achieving this. The dream has always been, work through all the stuff so you can basically, as soon as you can, get to just purely a shopping day where you can go around without having to carry around comics. You can get like
Sure,
all the
sure.
stuff signed. That has always been the pipe stream. Usually at the sacrifice of taking in panels, which this year, unfortunately, no panels. Which again, but to be fair, there weren't a lot of enticing panels though, so it wasn't a huge loss. But there were two panels I wanted to do. Unfortunately, I had to sacrifice because of Amanda Connor not getting her earlier on. I had to miss Ben Edlund's panel, which I was kind of interested in doing. But again, I did get to meet the guy and chat him up, and I got to ask him questions for Captain Logan. So it wasn't a complete loss.
Uh-huh.
The other one we're going to get to. The other one kind of stung a little bit. But we'll get there. Anyway, point being, I realized I was in a position of I could get everything between slated for Saturday and Sunday, barring the ones I'd have to do for all 3 days, which is
So
basically just
basically, you'd have like essentially a full free day tomorrow if you can crack everything out in time.
exactly. That's the
Uh-huh.
thing. So basically, I realized, okay, so aside from Amanda Connor and Greg Land, who's now the new Mark Waid, they're the only ones I need like double the bodies for to get signed all 3 days.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so aside from that, I could potentially be completely freed up if I got everything signed on Saturday. Which Saturday's the longer day anyway, so there's a chance. So that was my goal. Get it all signed again. Well, thanks to a lot of introspection, again because of the charge of things and having not as many comics to get signed as I usually would. So again, it trimmed down on things. There's a silver lining to the upcharging, I guess, in some sense.
Sure, sure.
And again, due to the soul searching of like having been around for like over 10 years at this convention, like kind of having a feel for it, this will be the first time ever I could potentially achieve this humble goal of getting it all done.
It's such a humble goal too. It really is. It's quaint. It's practically quaint.
Okay, so now we're going to Saturday. Okay, Saturday, as you can kind of tell, Batman Day literally is the holiday known as Batman Day. It's when they choose to
Oh,
celebrate
okay. It's like the
Batman.
Batman Day. Yeah, yeah.
It is the Batman Day, not Batman's actual birthday, but that's the day DC chooses to celebrate Batman's birthday. Batman's actual birthday is March 30th.
Uh-huh.
I know the cover says May. I wish it were May, but it's not. It's March. Anyway, so September 21st is when they chose to celebrate. I think it's the 21st. It's 21st, 22nd. I think it's 21st. That's when they choose to
Like
celebrate.
right around the time of like, wait, no, the second screening of Super Slash Man was Christopher Reeve's actual birthday, right?
Yes, which again, a part of me would have loved to have seen, but again, I'm at the convention doing all this. So
Yeah.
anywho, so it's Batman Day. I'm wearing my Batman the Animated Series shirt. I'm wearing my trusty utility belt and sporting my GCPD badge from the show Gotham.
Oh, nice, nice.
As I tend to do, I usually pick a Batman Day, but traditionally, the way Batman Day works, it always times out to be the conventions. There's always going to be a
Now
Batman
I'm
Day.
wondering if because of the Corey Michael Smith being in Saturday Night, did that add kind of like a little bit of Gotham hype? Was Gotham a little bit higher profile because of that?
Well, for me,
No, just in general, did you hear like Gotham buzz throughout the convention because of the Corey Michael Smith?
I did not hear Gotham buzz because of his appearance in that movie. No, because I mean the movie just came out like this week, so
Literally yesterday. Okay, fair enough. Fair
yeah.
enough.
Had it come out after, I think more people have been talking about it, frankly. But I think it's basically, hey, did you see that trailer for this movie that probably not a lot of people are going to see?
I did see it last night, and rest assured, Dragon, Corey Michael Smith does definitely steal the show.
Like in a yes or no answer, is it worth seeing?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Good. That's what I want to
wouldn't
hear.
say it lives up to like number one most anticipated of the year, but it's definitely worth seeing for sure.
Okay. So again, there was lunch on Friday. Saturday, I'm fueled by Dunkin'. America runs on it. Why shouldn't I? Not the coffee, mind you. I'm not putting diesel fuel in me, but I'm using the donuts.
Oh my god. Okay. Fuck you. The coffee is the one part of Dunkin' I actually like.
No, I just know I'm not. There's nothing against the Dunkin'. I'm just saying, in general, I don't drink coffee. I'm not saying it's
Okay. Because we always have this Dunkin' conversation.
Look, I have nothing. Look. The Dunkin' coffee smells really good. I don't drink coffee. If I did drink coffee, believe me, I would drink Dunkin' coffee.
Okay, fair enough.
I have nothing against the coffee or the stuff. I'm just saying, like, I appreciate people coming when they have the coffee and the donuts. I'm saying, it's Dunkin' Donuts, man. I'm going for the donuts.
For me, I actually don't like getting coffee and donuts at the same time because, like, I like to get my like caramel fucking frappe shit when it comes to coffee. And that is just going to take away from the sweetness of the donut. It's just not going to mesh well.
So you're not a dunker then?
No, I'm not. Absolutely not.
Okay. All right. Anyways, the point being, I'm fueled by some Dunkin' Donuts, which is, to be honest, I do donuts every Saturday, so it's just like, it's part of the course. But it's kind of like, hey, they're donuts on the road though.
Uh-huh.
All right. So first stop is I was warned yesterday because I asked like, hey guys, what's your signing time going to be? So basically, Jimmy Palmiotti and Manicon, they were going to be like wee hours of the morning. They're going to be packed. They had a couple panels going on during the day, so I knew I don't want to have to navigate through that. So first thing I'm doing Saturday, Manicon or Jimmy Palmiotti, so I can kind of score the line at just the right angle.
Uh-huh.
All right, so before that, while I'm waiting in line, the line to get it, not the line for Amanda, Connor, and Jimmy Palmy, which again, I did hit really well. Again, I was there pretty much like, maybe, well, sorry, we'll get there. I'm jumping ahead of myself here. Point being, while we're all waiting to get in, look who's there, Duck Dodgers.
Oh, nice, nice.
There were not it was not a numerous amount of cosplays this year. Basically, they were saved for the contest, which is on Saturday, and all the costumes are concentrated Saturday. But this is a refreshing one. There's a very deep cut, so you don't see many Duck Dodgers costumes, let alone a group.
I honestly think Duck Dodgers as an institution should like be way more popular than it actually is, and it kind of doesn't make sense why it's not like one of the most popular Looney Tunes things. But alas, that's just the way it is. I don't know. I mean, I feel like as a concept, it just makes sense that it would be popular.
Yeah, but if I have it right there, I believe we have Duck Dodgers, we have the Martian Queen, and we have Marvin the Martian, we have the dog, and basically it's kind of hard to tell there, but that's just, I want to say, because it says like the Cosmo Army there.
I want to say the one on the left is supposed to be Porky.
Well, that's something. It's supposed to be Porky. I'm saying like Cosmo Navy. If you look here, is this zooming in when I do this, or is it not zooming in?
Yeah, it's zooming in.
Okay, cool. So yeah, this says Cosmo Navy of the Cosmo or Cosmic Navy, which essentially is what I believe what Porky Pig wears in Duck Dodgers. So I'm pretty sure he's supposed to complete the group. Anyway, so just it's kind of like some some fun kind of line. Not as many fun line cosplays. I remember in previous years I would like be have my place be held in line and would go like, hey, let me get a picture of this guy and this person over here.
Sure.
Not as much Culver. This is like the only one really. Okay, so Amanda, Connor, Jimmy Paul made the first stop. They were delayed though. Everyone this morning was delayed, which is not a good omen. However, there was a good reason for it this time. There was a fire near the hotel that all the comic creators were staying at.
Oh no.
Yeah, and Amanda Connor, like I asked her, like, "Hey guys, we heard there was a fire. What happened there?" So basically, it was we're getting wind of it, and it's like, "Yeah, we were delayed." Says, "Yeah, we heard there was a fire. What happened?" And she shows like pictures she took from her window of the hotel, looking down at this nearby restaurant caught on fire. She had like fire engines and everything, kind of delaying them from getting from point A to point B.
Oh God.
So everyone was fine, it sounds like, but yeah, it was a pretty big fire, a lot of smoke. All right, so let's see. Okay, so she tells us about it and everything. She was wearing like this Godzilla sweater, so there were some pleasantries in relation to Godzilla. I told her about, oh yeah, Godzilla -1 and everything. It was like really good. It's a little smoother than the way I just described it there. But the point being,
I was going to say that sounds like the coldest take ever.
No, it was. We talked more specifics. I'm just trying to get out.
Like, there. Hey, person wearing Godzilla shirt. Do you know that Godzilla -1 is a film that is really good?
No. I basically said, like, hey, did you see? Did you happen to see Godzilla -1 yet? And she said, oh yeah, it was great. And then we kind of talked about it for a brief bit. So oh yeah, really after when we saw him after the first act, it really sold me on. But I love the whole thing with like the the kamikaze pile and everything. I kind of told her, we talked a little briefly about Godzilla -1. She went into kind of the deep lore of Godzilla. It was pretty cool. Anyway, so let's see. So then moving on. So then I go to Greg Land again. Go smooth, no issues. Again, another 2 comics signed per me and my mother. My plan was maybe if there's time, I brought like 2 extra or so just in case. Like, yeah, maybe who knows if there's no line, because Greg Land was not busy at all. Okay, he had maybe like at most he'd have like one or two people ahead of you, maybe at most. So the guy barely had anyone showing up there. And I figured, okay, maybe later I'll give it some time. Later I'll show up, and it's like a per visit sort of thing. Why not? If there's time, we'll see. Again, I had other things to do that day, so clearly Greg Land wasn't a priority, but we'll see. Again, perfect world. If I get Greg Land today, or if I get like just any residual, there's a potential I can get all my Greg. I didn't have a ton of Greg Land stuff, but if I could do multiple visits, potentially I could get all the Greg Land stuff. Period, which would be even better. But again, we'll see. Okay, so then I go to Cliff Chiang. Cliff Chiang, great artist. He did this Catwoman Lonely City book, which essentially is like Dark Knight Returns for Catwoman. It's a really good story. This guy has the right idea. The great, with Cliff Chiang, it's like a limit of 5 books, and the only rule was like if you have duplicates, then you get charged. Like you pay extra for duplicates or something. Which I think that's to circumvent the whole eBay situation. Which I've seen people like bring
that rule makes a lot of sense.
Like, for example, Dan Jurgens, there was a guy right next to me. And again, people do this all the time with Dan Jurgens because everyone wants Death of Superman signed. I'm not the exception, by the way. I get it. Okay, I get it. You want Death of Superman signed. Because I literally got, I got the omnibus and I got, like, the big Death issue signed, I did. But this guy had, like 3 to 4 copies of the same comic that is the Death issue of Superman. Like, that's a guy who's absolutely going to sell that. Okay, that's, here's the thing. This is how I separate myself from a lot of like the guys who are like hawking the signatures. Okay, it's the yearbook philosophy. That's the thing. I'm going like for the raw signature, which isn't worth diddly. Okay, I'm just getting to have it signed by the people that you like. And yes, if you get like a few more issues signed,
you basically want the signatures for sentimental value, not collector's value.
For sentimental, vaguely yearbook value. Just the idea, it's like a kid getting a baseball sign, but not like a collector getting a baseball sign, kind of a thing. You want the players to sign it. And the only reason I'm getting like multiple issue signs now in my later years, I have to break myself to have for the expense of it all now, but. It's kind of thing like I love that I have like the whole set of all the Scott Snyder comics that I have signed by him. That's really cool, but that's not like a thing I'm intending to sell. It's just like it's like a completionist thing, It's just like I have all the stuff that he did from the
core. No, it's just one of those things where just like it probably literally makes you sleep better at night knowing that you yourself are in possession of that.
Well, sure. I mean, I'm not really a loose sleepover, but you're right. Though.
No, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so anyway, so Cliff Chiang, I've met him before one time, and I had him sign the first issue. I think the whole series hadn't come out yet, so I had him sign the other 3 issues of the 4-issue story. So again, I got that kind of done, and this guy's a really good artist, so I had a good time there. And they had Robert Venditti. The Robert Venditti. This guy's doing the Superman 78 comic, the thing that ties into the Christopher Reeve Superman movies. Mm-hmm. And these comics have been really great. Like these are the kind of Superman comics you got to be reading, Tiki. And it's basically it's kind of like the Batman 66 comics that they did, but for Superman 78. And it's this whole thing of like I'm meeting the guy and he's telling me about like how great the world building process was for these, like how he came up with Metallo for like the sequel that he did for this. It's called Superman 78 the Metal Curtain, because basically it's basically Superman dealing with the the Cold War, which is kind of interesting, which we didn't really see in the movies. But the most we got of it was Quest for Peace, which he did acknowledge. Like, Quest for Peace was kind of the only representation we had of that, so he kind of delved deeper into
Dragon, this is probably going to be unsurprising to you, but fucking Christopher Reeve hated working on Quest for Peace.
Oh, yeah. No,
he hated it. Yep. Anyways.
Yep. Anyway. But yes, the point being, I've met this guy before, hadn't signed the other Superman 78 stuff that I had up to that point, and so I had to. This guy, again, no charge at all. He signed everything, and he was really nice about it, and he got pictures with him. He's just really, really sweet guy, and I can't wait to read. He says there's more around the corner, like a third in the series of the Superman 78. So I keep telling him, please cross over Superman 78 with the Batman 89 comic that's out there right now. Please,
that'd be really cool, yeah.
Because they have those two going on right now. If we can only cross them over.
Sure.
All right, anyway, so okay, so I go to Jeff Loeb to hand him the thank you letter, okay, Now again, guy's got a line going on. I respect the line. He does. This is not again. This is a Jason. This is an essential sequential lady. This is not a sketched art person. This is not a. This is not an old sport. Okay. This is This is basically, however, it's I go over and I'm sorry, there actually is an old sport here. There's an old sport there next to this lady, and I go to the old sport. The old sport's like, it's like, hey, listen, can I talk to the handler real quick? Yeah, sure. Just didn't help me at all. Just like didn't like call her attention. It's like, look, I just want to stand over here so I can get her attention. He's like, just didn't care remotely at all. I'm just standing there. I'm literally waiting for the handler.
You could try. I could technically help you, but I'm not going to. Fuck you.
Basically, like it's very indifferent. I'm not going to help you, and I'm not going to hinder you. Like, okay,
right.
So I'm just good to.
I honestly had some moments that were like that at Nuts.
Anyway, so basically, I'm on the side. I feel kind of like an idiot, but I'm an idiot with a mission here. Okay, I'm on the side, and I'm just waiting for like the handler lady for Essential Sequentialists to look in my direction so I can say, "Hey, over here." So I can signal her to come over here because I basically tell her, I explain to her, okay, look, I don't need anything signed. So I have a thank you letter for him. I just want to hand it to him real quick. She says, "Oh yeah, sure. So we'll snake you in the line real quick." Like. She didn't put me in the line. I went over to the other side of the table. So basically, I took, he was patient. He was finishing up with his kid, which is really nice to overhear, like him, being nice to the kid, and stuff and everything. So then I hand it to him. I tell him, like, here's a little thank you letter for you. I meant to give it to you yesterday. The printer didn't work, et cetera, et cetera. And so at that point, Jeff Loeb worked great, with the whole printer guffaw. Still, so things worked out on that front. Ben Edlund, on the other hand,
oh boy.
See, Edlund had a huge line now, especially Saturday is the busy day, so the line went all the way like to the side of the wall, which is like
it's funny you mentioned that because like when I did Not Scary Farm, I did it for 4 nights: Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Thursday and Sunday completely dead. Friday busy but manageable. Saturday absolutely fucking unmanageable, and I was so glad that I had the foresight to spring for the $200 front of the line pass. So yeah, Saturdays are always, no matter what it is, Saturday is always going to be the bad day.
Oh yeah, that's how it always goes too. Anyway, so we got point being,
except ironically enough, would you fucking believe me if I told you that apparently Saturday is like the day to visit Disneyland?
Really?
Apparently, yeah, just based on like crowd patterns and shit like that, and like annual pass blackout dates and stuff.
Huh. Crazy.
I'm like, all right, like that's ass backwards compared to like 30 years of going to theme parks. But next time I actually am inclined to go to Disney, I'll probably have to try that. Anyways.
All right. Okay, anyway, so point being, like, I after Loeb, I'm kind of on a high of like, this worked out. Surely I can get Ben Edlund. So I go,
you poor fool.
So I go over there. I see his table. He's not there yet. I figure, okay, well, I'll check what time he comes back, and I'll, at least I'll have an idea. Now, point being, while I'm going there and scouting out like when his return time is going to be, like, he basically started like he's going to show up at like 12 o'clock kind of a thing. So I show up there and I see like the table, no one's there, and I basically have like that Christmas story moment. Hey kid, the line ends. The line ends here, starts there, kind of a thing, where it's like, oh god, I'm looking at that wall. Anyway, so his handler is actually his artist, which is interesting. So he's basically helping him also sell like some Tick merch. Again, it's like, he's not charging signatures. It's basically like, hey, if you want to buy some Tick stuff to get signed, it's right here for you. So so the artist who worked on they did a comic that's also exclusive to the Baltimore Comic-Con as well, which is so Ian Nichols, Ian Chase Nichols, I believe is the artist's name. And so this guy, he's the nice guy, and he's basically saying like, I say, look, I don't need to get anything signed, but I just want to give him something real quick. And I shows like, can I just stand here? Like, literally, I figured, well, it worked with Jeff Loeb. I'll give it a shot here. Like, can I just stand here? He says, well, I don't want the other guys in the line to get the wrong idea, which, I mean, it makes sense, but it's like, it's like, all right. So I figure, okay, I'll do the other stuff. I'll circle back to Edlund. Maybe the line will disappear by later in the day. Who knows? Anyway, so, didn't go quite the way I was hoping for anyway, so I'm gonna go for another prime target in the meantime. The third in the trio of like the real big, if I can only hit these people. Like, I've already gotten stuff signed by Amanda Con. I wanted to see him, but if I didn't see him, it wouldn't be the end of the world. world, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's Jeff Loeb, Ben Edlund, the big one, our media guest this year, John Wesley Shipp.
Okay, so I'm assuming this guy is like the original Flash from the 90s.
The original
Okay.
Flash from the 90s show, which we've talked about.
Oh, yes, I'm mostly familiar with him through the Trickster episodes, but yeah.
Not only that, was in the Flash TV show as Barry's dad. And later
Okay.
in that show, still in the good years, like the tail end of season
Okay,
2.
yeah, now I definitely remember him, now that you bring that up. Sure.
Then the tail end of season 2, we kept him around by making him into Jay Garrick, which is the Flash you see here, like the traditional old school Flash from a different sect of the multiverse.
Mm-hmm.
Again, done right, not like that Flash movie. And in other roles as well. So again, the point being, John Wesley Shipp, I was very eager to see him line very reasonable line, like maybe like two to three people in front of me kind of thing. I was amazed by how I struck that, like wow. But to be fair, I did notice there was no one in line for the other media guests this year. Like the media guests tanked hard this year. Even John Wesley
Really?
Shipp. I mean, again, he was the only one with the A line period. I mean, the only one who maybe had a line next to him. Even so, I didn't really see it. Was Sam Jones. Flash Gordon was there. You had two Flashes next to each other.
Oh, man.
Okay? Like Sam Jones, but and Mark Ralston, a few others, like basically had like a lot of alien talent there. But yeah, still like John Wesley Shipp was there, and my God, Tiki, the man could hold court. John Wesley Shipp was like a dream come true of a man. Like he's so personal. Let me tell you some of the incredible things. Like while you're waiting in line, it was even that was a treat more than usual. Okay, so you're waiting in line to meet John Wesley Shipp. I'm looking at the table full of 8x10s. I'm wondering, oh man, which one to pick? And some other guy in front of me is like, he got up to John Wesley Shipp's like, I don't. Which one would you pick? And then John Wesley Shipp walks over to the table and he's like, well, I really like this. He's reminiscing about the photos and saying, well, this one I think's really good because this one has like all the times I played the Flash or Flash adjacent stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, I know which one I'm picking now. So that worked out. And then, like, while he's holding court, no one is like irritated by a weight or anything. The minimal weight that there is, you have like Brett Breeding, a Superman artist, who walks over, and then Joseph, he gets out he stops the conversation, or like after he finishes with this guy, he walks over before he takes the next guy. He walks over. Oh my goodness! He walks over, practically hugs Brett Breeding. He's like, oh, folks, he tells everyone how great Brett Breeding is. Like, I wouldn't have a job without this man.
Oh God!
Saying like Brett Breeding, these are the guys that make basically the comic artists that are the reason he has a job. Is the Flash.
Sure.
So he was super nice to Brett Breeding.
Nice.
And that's what I'm saying. Like I'm in awe of like, oh my God, John Wesley Shipp. I figured he's going to be nice, but this is incredible.
Right.
So in preparation for him, I brought my other badge. I brought my Central City PD badge from the show, The Flash. I figured I put in the picture with him, which is what I did with Candace Patton from the Flash TV show way back when she was there too. Anyway, so I go to John Wesley Shipp, and we're reminiscing about the Flash TV show. He's like selling the Blu-ray. This guy actually cares about the show. Like he's selling like the Blu-ray for the they re-released the original series, the '90s show, on Blu-ray finally.
Uh-huh.
And he's selling that at the table, which I already had on DVD, so I didn't need it. But I appreciate that he's selling that there.
Sure.
Anyway, so yeah, it was he was. I told him like, look, and that I wasn't negative about it, but I told him like, the crisis thing the CW did, you were the best. Your death scene was like the best part of
that. Yeah. Right.
Because it was like seriously, that was like
the rest of it was a fucking train wreck.
I left that part out, but I said that literally his part was like the whole episode 3 of the Crisis event was the only episode you need to watch because that's like we do like the love letter to the '90s Flash in that episode, and we do like the big Flash death moment with him, and it's an amazing tear jerking moment, and we talked about it and we geeked out about it, mentioned a little bit of Mark Hamill, from the Trickster episodes. And it went great. He was just all. I don't want to undersell how lovely a person he was.
So is it fair to say this guy was basically the Con's Stefan Kaff.
Absolutely, he was absolutely the Stefan
Dude, that's
Kaff.
awesome. That's awesome.
So he was super sweet. Just you're probably wondering how much nicer could this man get? You want to hear? Okay, so my
Did he
mother's
like
off.
pull some strings with the tick guy?
No, that'd be great. But look, if he were close to him, he would have. Okay,
Right,
like
right. I
he's on
believe
the
that.
complete
Yeah.
opposite end of where he is. Okay, if he were right next to him, he absolutely would have done that. But no. So John Wesley Shipp, my mother's there, and she's like conversing with like the handler lady in line, and she says, "Hey, you should tell him." So we tell him what. Basically, my mother loved the soap opera he was on pre-Flash,
Oh
which was
no! Oh my
which
god!
was the guy. He was on a soap opera called The
Dude, I
Guiding
bet
Light.
that fucking made his day that someone referenced that.
Which so that's the thing. Everyone's there for him for the Flash, and she's like
Right,
the one
right.
person there is like saying, "Oh, loved you on The Guiding Light." She's like pressed into it by like, "Hey, you should tell him this." He's like, "Oh," and he goes over, gives her a hug, and everything, and he's
Oh my
like,
god!
"It's like,
That
oh,
actually
thank
kind
you."
of like I mean I didn't get like the amazing reaction that your mom got, but that kind of reminds me of what I mentioned earlier about meeting Cheech Marin specifically at a dispensary. Everyone is there for like the Cheech and Chong stuff. I come in with my fucking Lion King t-shirt to get signed, and I literally asked the guy like, "Am I the only person that's come in with Lion King stuff?" And he's like, "No, you're the second."
I mean, taking the trick to meeting a celebrity is they love it when you talk about the stuff that no one's really gonna. They're gonna talk about the lesser known stuff, the stuff that they don't
Right.
get enough praise for.
I get the sense that Cheech didn't like kind of thought it was weird that I was bringing up Lion King in the context of like specifically a dispensary meet and greet. He made a joke like, "Yeah, they should make Disney weed," and I'm like, "Yeah, I guess so. Sure. I mean, it's the fact of the matter is that you're like a big vocal presence in the first movie that I ever saw in theaters. But yeah, Disney weed. Why not?"
All right. Actually, I kind of found it after the fact. Is we kind of went out to dinner on like the last night. Like the went out to dinner on Sunday, I guess. Afterwards, my mother mentioned my grandfather loved The Guiding Light. Like that amazed me
Oh
too.
my
That the fact my
god, I
grandfather
love it.
loved.
I love it.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Like the whole family apparently watched the soap opera. They taped it. I don't know if they fully taped it. Not the point. Yeah, they did tape it. That's the thing. So my grandfather, he would he watched. I was amazed that, oh my god, he of all people watched the soap opera.
So that would have been like yet another like awesome thing that you two could have shared. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. But still, I was just really more like it's kind of learning about someone you care about after the fact. Like really,
Right,
like the
right.
fact of
Yeah.
like he asked them to tape it for him. Like that's
Oh my god.
like wow. So John Wesley's ship was just tremendous, and all the top things off. Okay, and the other thing nowadays, and we'll get this with some other media guests, but also like the comic creators with the remarks and everything. They charge extra these days for doing like the little doodles or writing like a little quote from the thing, and like celebrities especially, they will charge extra now. Like sometimes they charge extra if you wanted to put quotes on the autograph.
Uh-huh.
John Wesley Shipp again. He and I was telling like how much that his last line is like the Flash in that Crisis event like struck me the whole like I loved it when he said, "Keep riding the lightning, son." Those are his last words to the younger Flash.
Oh my god.
Before he sacrifices himself, and
I'm with you to the end of the line, pal.
yes, that's essentially it.
Right,
Just
right.
a moment of like I asked him like, do you want to personalize it? And here's the thing: I always feel bad because you get a sense celebrities people love it when you personalize it. But again, it's not me trying to be like I'm trying to sell it on eBay. It's just me being like I'm gonna be so paranoid that. Because if you show like, hey, look what I got, something. Oh, you shouldn't have personalized it. That's what's gonna drive me insane. Like someone saying, "Why'd you get it personalized?" Now you can
Dude,
never.
fuck those people. Get what you want. You're the one taking the time to get the signatures and standing in the lines. It's as
Well,
far
you
as
know what I. But you
I
know what
mean,
I mean, though.
I get what you mean, but like as far as I'm concerned, that's my right to do what I want with my shit.
But for example, like occasionally, I think I had Michael Uslan, like literally the godfather of Batman. The man who's like in charge of Batman and media. I had him personalize the book that his actual book, like the boy who loved Batman, like his memoirs essentially. I had him personalize that to me. It's a book though. The comics like a whole thing where it's like you have God knows how many things signed, but now all of a sudden you have them personalized. It's gonna be like you're disrupting the flow kind of a thing.
Oh, okay. So you're basically saying you don't want the actual people behind it to criticize you. All right.
Yeah. something along those. It's also like the collector thing of like it's like okay, you have it all there, and then it's like, well, why is it now like personalized?
Sure.
Anyway, the point being, uh, here's a in a perfect world though. Instead of personalizing, I love my quotes on the thing. So I asked him, "Would you mind putting the light on there?" He says, "Absolutely." They put it on there and it was great. And we took pictures together, and Tiki, he didn't have to do this. He put the Central City Police Department has like a necklace part on the badge. They put on the badge for the picture. He wore it.
Oh my god.
Awesome. Anyway, okay. So the rest is going to go by rather quick. So again, a few cosplays kind of saw there. You had some Daredevil and Shigo from Kim Possible.
Nice.
This is kind of the anime alley section. You can kind of tell by all the Pokemon plush behind them. Let's see, Deadpool and Scarlet Witch. I'm a sucker for Scarlet Witch, particularly in the outfit from the end of WandaVision. I remember geeking out about that. So it was like, oh my god, my go-to character in the Deadpool and Wolverine version of the costume. May I know? Right? Yep, with Scarlet Witch, and the version I was geeking out about during WandaVision. It's serendipity. What do you know? Let's see. Okay, anyway, so Katie Cook. So Katie Cook, again, I struck her just right. The line of dissipator was like one person ahead of me, and I'm overhearing, not eavesdropping, but you're waiting in anticipation. You're looking at kind of like the little kind of artwork she has out, and I overhear something. I follow up with, apparently, Katie Cook had been very sick.
Ooh.
And I had no idea about it because it sounds like it was at a different convention, not the one from last year, but essentially Katie Cook. I inquired, like, so what happened? I thought it was like a joke because she wrote this little thing on the table. It said, so let me tell you what. So basically, Katie Cook had a terrible reaction to some medication while she was at a convention one year. So like after the convention, she pretty much.
I've had a pretty wonky year when it comes to like the kind of like the give and take of like, is a medication going to work for me or is it going to fuck me up even more than I already am? That kind of trial and error is the word I was looking for. So yeah, I know how destructive that shit can be firsthand.
So by the way, for the audience out there, I'm just going to let you know from this point forward, this is where the story picks up.
Okay.
So Katie Cook, she had a bad reaction to her medicine at a convention, like probably New York Comic-Con or something last year. And she collapsed. And for 8 months until this point, she had to relearn how to walk again.
Oh my god! Oh Jesus Christ!
Yeah, so that was amazing. I saw this sign on her table which says, like learning, like basically, like learning how to like the walk again fund or something. And I thought that was a gag, like she's sitting at the table. I thought it was like a gag thing of like if she's sitting at the table for so long, I didn't know she actually had to learn how to walk. It's so specific,
Right. Jesus Christ.
It's basically like her looking happy-go-lucky. Again, she has a very cutesy style. It's basically like a little cartoon of her like sitting at the thing, just like like still like waving at people. So it looks like, oh, she must be fine. Things like just sitting down, just like, yeah, put something in the jar kind of a thing, So yeah, apparently all of her commission proceeds were going to paying off her hospital bills.
Man, that's honestly scary.
But yeah, it's scary, but very inspiring though that she was able to, she learned how to walk again.
Yeah, for sure, it's inspiring. But like, as someone who's going through the medication bullshit myself, like it's scary to like. I thought I had it bad, but Jesus Christ, that's scary to know that it could get so much worse than what I've been going through.
Absolutely, and again, just the fact it was like a bad reaction, that basically caused like nerve damage to her. That's what happens.
Yeah, that's ugh. Oh god, medication is genuinely kind of terrifying. Anyways.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, so the Little Blue, Katie Cook is this artist who she has like, I believe like it's her own comic, but she does this. She has this really cute. I'm about to show you in 1 second here because I got her to do a commission for me. So
in the past, he's had her do commissions in the past as well. So this is kind of like one of the traditions of Comic-Con for him.
because I love her still. It's always a matter if I can get to her if she's not super busy or something like that. So in the one year I was able to get her to do like 4 commissions because again I figured she would be busy, so I wanted to get them all out of the way. And like I like giving her the business because like in terms of like if I can commission her and put money in her pocket, I'm happy to do that. So this year, just knowing it was going to a good cause, I definitely commissioned something, but she did go a little up on the price, but for understandable reasons, though. I think usually it was like $10, $10 a sketch. This year was 20, but again, it was going towards a good cause, so I have no qualms. I did limit it to 1 though, mainly because I was looking for a really good idea, and I figured I asked her. I led with my strongest commission idea, which was I told her I had watched We Bare Bears recently.
Oh, okay.
And then it's like, Katie, have you ever seen the show We Bare Bears? Are you familiar with it at all? And she's, oh my God, yes. It's like, we geeked out about We Bare Bears.
Nice. Oh, because when you even float something like that, that there's a possibility of like, she's like, We Bear what? Yeah, I think I might have heard of it once.
I figured the chances were good since she has a really cutesy style, and that's
right.
Cute,
sure, yeah.
but yeah, so We Bare Bears, I've been obsessed with the Daniel Chong show We Bare Bears because he's going to direct a Pixar movie. I binged it all, which now it's not on Max anymore, unfortunately. It's on Hulu. It's not on Max. That's a rant in itself. Let's not dwell on that. The point being, she and I are geeking out about it. We agreed Tote Life was like, that's the big sell episode. Like, oh my God, Tote Life's like one of the really hysterical
If it weren't for Penguin, I would probably cancel my Max subscription, just straight up.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Right. And anywho, the point being, I had her do a little something for We Bare Bears, and I told her I'm obsessed with the character Ranger Tabes, and I would love it if you could do something. Just like, look, any idea you want, just have the bears, have all 3 bears, and have Ranger Tabes in there if you think you can manage it. And she did, and basically this is what she did for me. And again, it's a genuine watercolor done there at the table.
Nice.
Yes, there's Tabe just telling him like no more DoorDash, and you have the Bears doing their iconic stack, and you have like Panda there with the with the phone who ordered the DoorDash, and there's Ice Bear eating essentially the burrito. And it's a burrito for a reason. It's a burrito in reference to the burrito episode, in case anyone's wondering. Anyway, so this was great. I also bought a few of her prints just to kind of add up a little things. Even if it wasn't going to commission a lot from her, I figured I'd buy like a few of the. She had prints done, which I was shocked she could do prints, but apparently it's time consuming. But she can do prints because she cuts them into little squares like this. So this is like actually like watercolored there, and this is the next ones are printed. So this is from Good Omens, Aziraphale and Crowley.
Nice.
And there's a Galactus and the Silver Surfer, and Galactus has taken a bite out of a planet.
So yeah, you can all tell that this lady has like a very, very distinctive style to her.
Oh yeah.
And Eli, I definitely think you did type her name right, Dragon? He's asking.
Yeah. Well, it's right there. Cook. See.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you want to factor in that little heart symbol off to the side.
No, that's it. Yeah. That's the name. I'm very certain. All the artwork is written. She's written her name on all the artwork. Otherwise, I think maybe the medication snafu did some serious damage. I don't know. Okay. Anyway, let's see. Okay, so now things are gonna get a little tense, kids.
Oh boy.
All right, I had a Curb Your Enthusiasm encounter with somebody at the
Oh no!
at the convention. So, I mentioned this a few years back. I made a buddy at the convention. Basically, a guy who was I made a friend at the convention, and we had done stuff outside of the convention. I invited him to some essentially watch parties and stuff. We'd hung out a little bit, no issues at all there. And one day he just kind of, I guess to summarize and put it delicately, the guy just up and ghosted me. Completely.
I hate that. Hate that. I mean, don't even get me started. It's one of my biggest pet peeves.
So buckle up, Tiki. Okay, so I'm walking by. I'm heading to the Legos to scope them out further. It's like compare. Like there's 2 Lego stands. I'm not haggling, but I'm kind of like I'm browsing just to know. Okay, which stands have what? So I can pick between them. I got to pick one to get my Lego fix. So as I'm walking there, I just kind of happen to notice because he and his girlfriend they do kind of a couples cosplay usually. He was not in cosplay, she was because she's always in cosplay for the thing, and basically it's a similar cosplay she has in previous years. That's how I spotted him, and I recognize he always wears the hat. So it's like, wait a minute, I did a double take. That's him. I mean, I figured the odds were he would probably come here, and I asked him like, hey, you gonna be at the con or silence? So I take the initiative here. Like, you know what? I'm getting closure. So I walk up to him.
Oh no.
Yeah, so I walk up to him and
Oh, Dragon, my stomach's starting to.
oh yeah.
Uh,
So yeah, so I walk up to him and I'm lingering. I'm playing it casual. I'm looking at like he's like they're looking
oh
through a
God.
bit
Oh,
of.
so you're doing that thing where at first you're like pretending to not be there for him.
Well, it's not that I'm there. I'm primarily I'm there waiting to see how long is it going to take him to notice that I'm right there next to him.
Oh God. Oh, I hate it. I hate it. I
I
hate
was
it.
tempted to actually call him there. I was tempted. I could have done it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I didn't want the fish through the phone. I figured, well, he's right there. I'm gonna walk up. We'll see, And so he's there looking through like a bin of Spider-Man stuff. I'm there. I know absolutely it's him. There's no doubt about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking at the stuff, and it's like, hey, it's like it's very casual. Like, oh, hey.
Uh,
So I basically I won't go into all the gory details. But let's just say it's a very Curb Your Enthusiasm conversation. And he basically goes to me over a very ridiculous reason. I feel. And I confront him about it, and we made peace. I mean, I think ultimately, it's not that. And we basically we made peace. I clarified the misunderstanding. It's I'm not going to say I'm not slightly insulted by it, but I moved past it. He's good, and I'll see if he ever is the first to trying to think what the term is, the first to engage beyond
initiate.
that. Yeah, I was going to say initiate. I don't know why I second guessed initiate. The first to initiate.
Uh-huh.
I basically, so like, basically we're on good terms, but I don't think I'm always the one to initiate. I think I'm going to let him initiate first. You know what I mean?
Sure, sure, sure.
So that's kind of where I land on. But the point being, though, I didn't take it lying down per se. I was like, I went to it. I confronted him, like, you know what, I basically said, you ghosted me. I'd like to know why, and I got why, and we kind of. So it's just a rare moment, it's a very Curb Your Enthusiasm moment, only with less yelling.
I mean, oh God, I hate these sort of situations, man. I really do.
In
Because
the moment, though, it put a damper on things for me because he ghosted me for that reason. That's why.
right,
Like,
right.
it makes you feel like God. What? Look, I won't get into the specifics, at least not here. But it's like still, it's just it's ridiculous, and it
All
sticks
right.
with you. To distract from that.
Would you get into it with me off air? Because I'm genuinely curious.
We'll see. We'll see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Okay, so
Gugia says it would be funny if Larry David was there. Larry David is actually going to be in San Francisco, but it's like $200 to see him, so I just can't justify it.
a little bit of that.
Little Blue says I missed it. Who ghosted you, Dragon? It was to summarize for Dragon, it was basically someone he had met at a previous con through the you met him through Legos, right?
Well, not through Legos. Just I met him like at the he was he's in cosplay at the
Okay.
convention. And we struck up a friendship, and basically at a certain point, just kind of stopped.
And then he ghosted him.
Yeah.
So God, I hate that.
Anyway, so the I believe I forget if it's Baghead or Bagman, the bombastic Baghead from when Spider-Man lost his costume for the symbiote, and he put on the bag, and he had like the "Kick Me" sign on his back. You remember?
Vaguely.
Anyway, yeah, Johnny Storm put him in this outfit.
uh,
Anyway, it's just really kind of a little fun costume there. Anyway, so one of my other big must sees was Kyle Higgins. Kyle Higgins is a writer on Batman Beyond, the comic series, and he took on the comic after Adam Beechin. So after Adam Beechin didn't come back, because he's working on another comic, he went to Kyle Higgins. I think he did a really good run. He had the most controversial story in it though, which coincidentally was the one I wanted signed, not because it was controversial, but because it had ties to both Batman the Animated Series and the Phantasm is in the comic.
Nice, nice.
So Kyle Higgins, he's great. He was on Kevin Smith's podcast once, and I've always been enamored with the man. His specialty character was Nightwing. He wrote the Nightwing he wrote the Nightwing New 52 stuff, and then he went on to Batman Beyond. And point being, I really like that. I know he's a fan of the animated series, so he and I got to talking. He was at the Sketched Art booth, so unfortunately, no freebies. As you can guess, I had to be really choosy. I couldn't get all my, again, there's not like a ton of Batman Beyond stuff that he did from his run, but the point being, I had to be choosy about it. All the same, I got the important stuff signed. And he actually told me on like his newsletter, like, hey, if you here's this little promotional thing. You scan the QR code and then et cetera, you can sign up for our newsletter. You can subscribe to the newsletter for free, and then we'll come back here, show it to me, and I'll give you some free swag, like some signed swag. It was like, okay, that's pretty cool. I might take him up on that later. Anyway, so yeah, he and I, we're talking about Batman series and everything. He's telling me how like Old Wounds is one of his favorite episodes for the Nightwing of it all, and again, he was very pleasant. He lived up to kind of what I expected, so that was good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so back on a roller coaster here. Greg Land. So I go to Greg Land. The time has passed. I figure, okay, just for the heck of it, I'll see if I get some book signed. His handler tells me no. Handler tells me no because the whole limit 2 per. But I'm thinking, okay, look, that's fair. Maybe it's just 2 per. I think they should have advertised that specifically on the little sign. But okay, it just says limit 2 per. Probably it's 2 per day, right?
Yeah. Dragon, I assume you want to keep the identity of this friend of yours private. That's why you're not revealing his name. Like it's
I don't want to drag it.
He and I are Eli. It's no one that you would know. So
yeah, trust me, it's no one. Yes, no one. Absolutely no one famous. Just like again, he and I are on good terms. At least it seems that way. If I ever hear from him again, it'll be
Dragon. I had a college friend that this kind of strikes me where. Like in creative writing classes and stuff, we would like bond over Pixar and like how we want our writing to be like Pixar and shit like that. And I friend him on Facebook, and he literally like after just like a whole semester of like dodging my attempts to hang out with him, he's literally like, you seem like a good guy. I just don't know what I would do with you if we were to hang out. And I'm like, motherfucker, we would geek out about Pixar or whatever, like why does hanging out have to have like some sort of like rigid structure to it? Can't it just be two people enjoying each other's shared interests?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That still fucking rubs me the wrong way to this day. Anyway,
so let's see. So I head to again to kind of do a pick me up from the Greg Land is somewhat of a disappointment. It's just in terms of like, well, it would have been nice to get more stuff signed, but again, it's understandable position there. So I'm heading to the costume contest now. I get some cool pictures of the costume contest, and apparently, I didn't expect this, but I didn't know there was like kind of like an exhibition costume contest where basically people show basically showing their stuff, not really competing for the prize, and then you have the actual prize winning costume contest. So I'm not going to show you the entire thing. I'm just going to show you like a quick little slideshow of like the ones that stuck out to me.
Okay.
Well, also this is before then, just Bulma.
Nice. I had Vegeta plush.
It's adorable, right? What's even cooler about it? If you look, the Vegeta plush has like the little shoulder pads, which is.
Uh-huh. Dragon, I think your audio might have cut out, unfortunately. I hate to say it, but I'm not hearing you. Eli, you're not hearing Dragon, are you? Yeah, Dragon, I don't know what happened, but as soon as you started describing Vegeta's shoulder pads, I did not, you cut out. Let's see, Dragon, if you want to go out and come back in, I can kind of regale the folks with some not scary farm stuff. Yeah. Eli's saying he's not hearing you, Dragon, so I think you might need to figure something out. I don't know exactly what happened. Okay, Dragon says it's going to be a minute. That's all right. So, okay, folks. So Knott's Berry Farm, the place that I was at. Let's see, just to give my quick little 5-minute trip report. So I was there at the farm for about a week. Basically, I got there on a Tuesday and then I left the following Monday. I did Scary Farm for 4 nights in a row. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, which was exhausting. But really fun. Like I said, Thursday and Sunday were both pretty much non-existent when it came to crowds. Thursday, I actually brought my grandma. She did go through about half the mazes, but she tapped out about halfway through the night, which is understandable. The thing that I always love about Not Scary Farm as like an event, and this is the third time I've done it, but the first time that I've planned the whole trip around it. The only other 2 times I've done it have been kind of like tacked on to the tail end of broader Disney trips. I just love the atmosphere. The scares are fine. Like definitely, like odds are you're going to get jump scared at least once or twice when you're there. But really, it is the atmosphere. It is the fact that every square inch of that place, besides Fiesta Village, which is kind of the safe zone, besides Fiesta Village, every square inch of that place is just like there is show going on. There is performance going on. I actually wish that my social anxiety weren't as bad as it was, because let me tell you, there were times where I really wanted to just interact more with the cast members, especially the ones specifically the ones in the Roaring 20s area, which I did get a lot of good footage of. If you guys watch my vlog about Scary Farm, there's a few cast members in that area that I was afraid I was going to get parasocial with if I talked too much to them, because I kind of got the sense they were definitely like recognizing the fact that I had been there multiple times throughout the week. But I don't know, man. Specifically, there's this one guy. If you watch the Scary Farm vlog, he's leading the dance in on the streets as the jazz band is going on, and then he's also leading the riot, where they're trying to break into the speakeasy, which is closed, and then the cops intercept them. I think he's supposed to be just a bartender, because he's got like an apron. He's got like a like kind of like a glass of devil's elixir that he's carrying. And he, for me, was like, out of everyone in the whole event, he was the standout performer, because he was going out of his way he would scare people. He would slide on people and stuff like that. But he would also just go out of his way to really make these kind of spontaneous moments with the guest, where he was really kind of getting into it with the guest through like different things like chanting and dances and stuff like that. And yeah, he was a big highlight. I wish I could find a picture of him or a video of him or something, but he was definitely a big highlight. One thing about Scary Farm I will say this year is that the daytime park was freaking packed. Like all the days I was there. I mean, I guess Wednesday when I was there, it wasn't that bad. But I didn't really stay that long on Wednesday. I stayed until about 3:00, because that day I really wanted to go on a walk, because I just wanted to get some exercise before Scary Farm. I wanted to stretch my legs a little bit. But yeah, Berry Tales, Knott's Berry Tales is currently my favorite attraction at Knott's Berry Farm. It's just got a real old school charm to it. And I will say that it's a little bit more accessible from like a mobility standpoint than something like the Log Ride or the Mine Ride, both of which are great attractions in their own right, very historic attractions. But the thing with the Log Ride and the Mine Ride, both of them are a little bit hard to get in and out of, especially as single riders. With the Mine Ride, you're going to be like crunched together with a bunch of other people you don't know. It's going to be kind of close quarters. Your thighs are going to scrunch together up on the lift hill. With the Log Ride, man, it's super awkward the way that seating is if you end up in a log with anyone else that you don't know, and you have to like kind of literally straddle their laps. I mean, thankfully there's a divider, so it's not as bad as like, you know, how the Matterhorn used to be, but still. Anyways, looks like okay, don't panic, there's supposed to be two of me. Okay. We're twins, and there's two of me. Are you there,
Yeah. Yes, Tiki, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yeah.
All right, yes. I found a workaround. It's just, as you can tell, it's just a little unusual, but there is a workaround.
Okay, we're good. So
Just
yeah, the last thing I literally heard was you describing Vegeta's shoulder pads, but I didn't know what you were describing about Vegeta's shoulder pads.
Yeah, so that's the thing. If you look at Vegeta's shoulder pads, he's like from the early part of the Namek saga from Dragon Ball. So he basically fits the Bulma Namek costume as the
right.
That's what's kind of adorable about it. So it's like, that's when I fell in love with him.
Oh my god!
I have a soft spot for Bulma, so it's like I love her. So it's I definitely it was kind of a must-have. Kind of like, yes, like, I got to get a picture of this before the costume contest, and then I went to the costume contest.
All
right. Let's see. Bear with me, folks. Here. Okay, there we go.
You're good.
All right. So this costume contest, the MC was Prince from the Bat Dance.
Oh my god! That's awesome.
If you look there, and I went with this image on the screen, so you can kind of hopefully get the full effect. Like that. That is him right there. Yes, that's saying again in the room there. So this was like the exhibition thing, and I think he also presided over the actual contest. You know, it's like that. It's a nice thing where he had a little boom box, not a giant one, but he had like an actual like kind of like modern day boom box that played a bunch of music while everyone like when presented their costumes and everything. So that was really cool. Let's see. So Blade, we had a Blade costume. Yeah, going on there. We had the whole. Not only that, again in honor of dearly departed Whistler, Chris Christopherson.
Yeah,
we had the Whistler and Company there.
That's classy.
Yeah. This one, of course.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh. That had to have gotten some good praise there in the crowd.
Yeah, I just love the fact we had like the Logan skeleton. I was amazed by it.
And the backpack too. The backpack definitely helps.
Yep, the Hello Kitty ammo bag from the first Deadpool movie. Get him. They tell him to strike a pose, and I think he struck a really good pose here. And the
it's
red
almost
shirts,
like a romantic like figure skating pose or something like that, you know.
I opted for the one with the red shirt just to show you this is where the status of the red shirt really is.
Oh God. Right.
Yeah. See, he didn't even get like the new shirt, like the sports fan shirt. He stuck with the old recycled shirt. He stuck with the one that said staff instead of minion. This was cute. This is like something from for Loki. You had little look at adorable little Miss Minutes going on there.
That baby's fucking adorable. I'm not gonna lie.
Right? Loki, Sylvie, and Miss Minutes. Okay, Captain Maryland.
Oh God. Oh, Jesus Christ.
So Captain Maryland.
Reckon you might have Captain Maryland, but I have Petaluma Batman. God damn it.
True. I will say this.
Forever since I've seen him, but I did see him once.
I wish I had found a better shot of it, but because all the ones I had were blurry. Because again, I had like all sorts of people cheering and jumping up and down during it. When he came out and he struck base, because he's using like the crab hammer, like Mjolnir from
okay, that's clever.
He struck the pose. He lifted the hammer in the air. The crowd went nuts. They loved this guy. He was like he wasn't entering the official costume contest. He was the people's champ. Like the actual people's champ. None of this Peregrine BS.
How do you know it wasn't just Peregrine in disguise?
Nah, he's too fit to be Peregrine.
Oh God.
Yeah. Anyway, I think this guy was actually dressed as Cap in previous years. I could be wrong. Anyway, also you'll notice you have Deadpool with the Logan's skeleton in the background.
Yes.
Little Lydia love there. I love
nice, specifically cartoon Lydia. That's awesome.
And here's what's funny: you have essentially a Lydia, from the come from the movie, but also arguably could be a Jenny or Ortega's character.
Mhm.
All right, let's see. Okay, now these are from. Hold on a second. Yeah, this is from the actual costume contest. It's for like the one for the prize and everything. This is Agent Venom.
Okay, nice,
The
nice,
Flash
nice.
Thompson version of Venom that also I
Sure.
think was heavily inspired the Spider-Man 2 game. The recent Marvel Spider-Man 2 game where we had like our Venom start off as kind of like an Agent Venom before it turned the Tony Todd awesome Venom. Looking really good there. Yeah. This was our big winner, I believe. I could
Is
be
that
wrong.
Fat Boba Fett?
What?
Is that Fat Boba Fett?
No, it's not Fat Boba Fett. That's the body shaming on you, sir. Wow, that's that's no. That's here's the thing. I could be wrong, but I think the gag here is that if you notice a little bit of the purple there, I think it's supposed to be like a Raven themed. Uh, uh, well, no, Raven themed Mandalorian Tiki.
Oh, a Baltimore Ravens? Okay.
Yeah, plus, if you notice there, you have Grogu right there on his packs. I mean, he's absolutely Mando, but you have like the
Gotcha, gotcha.
signet and
Dragon, I'm
everything.
sorry, but freaking Tamora Morrison was very much like you cannot tell me that that is the same fucking guy that fell into the Sarlacc pit at the beginning of Jedi. Come on now.
Yeah. It was really cool seeing him finally get out of the Sarlacc pit, though. You got to admit.
It was, but it was like I don't buy the fact that what was he doing? Just eating the insides of the Sarlacc pit continuously to gain all that fucking stomach fat.
I guess.
All right.
Anyway, so okay, let's see. We're gonna move on from. Sorry, 1 second. There's good. Anyway, so point being, like this guy, I'm pretty sure. I think it was advertised after the Comic Con. This guy won, which I mean,
uh,
look, this is nice, but for example, like Gavin Maryland wasn't entered in the contest. That guy feels like he would have won more than this guy. But beyond that,
I feel like this guy winning is just literally like a local bias. You know what I mean?
honestly, even by his local bias goes, it feels like had Gavin Maryland entered the thing, that if you're going to do a local bias, at least that guy got like a reaction from the crowd.
Right, right, right. Yeah,
Here's
yeah.
the thing: this next guy I'm going to show
This
you,
is
he's
just
there.
like, hey guys, I like Star Wars and I also like the local sports team. It's
So
kind of lame, frankly.
all right,
Honestly.
I'm with you. Here's the thing: I left before they called the winner of the costume contest because I know it's never, it's always, it's never a great winner. It's just always, they never go for the one really, the coolest costume.
uh,
But this next one though, this guy's here like every year, and I don't think he ever wins. And I think it's a shame for this next guy, as you'll see. And I've shown him before, I think.
oh god.
Sorry. There we go. The guy who puppets Ben, the guy with the
Yeah,
Bender
that
puppet,
should fucking win over fucking Raven Mandalorian. Are you kidding me?
right?
Yeah,
Okay. So in
I
addition
love
to this,
that.
you want to see how it gets even better?
God.
You'll notice he's got a cigar, which the idea is that he would puppet it so it would go like to his mouth and everything.
Uh-huh.
And again, he's walking like so he can walk kind of like Bender because they have like the whole it's a full body puppet like connecting to his extremities. Anyway, so next it's a little hard to tell, but he does have a whole bunch of stuff that he stole
Oh
on the
my
inside,
god!
right?
Dude, how did this not win?
And this guy like never wins. I don't know why he never wins. It beats
He
me.
seems to obviously put a ton of effort into his shit.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there are some good ones I didn't show you, but this Bender one always kills me how really cool and clever it is.
Bite my shiny metal cosplaying ass.
There you go.
uh,
All right, let's see. Okay, so you ready
we
to
gotta
see?
give it to the Ravens guy because we like the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, I was baffled by it too. Here's the thing: there's a chance he could have placed second. Okay, I'm just it won't be for that guy to place and for Bender not to place at all. That's ridiculous. Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm assuming all I know is like they have like the whole costume contest and the picture like there's an art there's like a little headline that says costume contest winner and then his picture. I think it's a reasonable assertion to make at first glance the Ravens guy got if he's the picture they use, right?
It's literally just because of the fucking football team.
Yeah, which again is
That honestly pisses me off.
At least the crab guy was like creative, you know, because if you noticed, if you go
Right,
back,
right.
you know, if you look, he has like look at it. It's kind of hard to tell. He has like Old Bay on his utility belt.
No. This guy I can approve of because this guy is essentially taking like all the stereotypes of Maryland and like blending them together in an awesome way. The other guy is just like, hey guys, Star Wars and football, fuck it. Yeah, that's my costume.
All right, let's see. So after the costume contest, I was getting ready to ramp down, but before I left, I got some Legos.
Ooh.
Let's see what
Did,
Legos
did,
I.
did you get a Pharrell Williams Lego?
No, but I believe he might have been an option.
I'm not surprised.
Had I not been, had it not been kind of again, it was a thing where you have a parent with you and they kind of want to, they're getting a little up there and they want to kind of go after a while. So I didn't have time to linger too much around the Legos. I knew what I wanted, so I didn't have time. Like, had I thought about it, I would have looked specifically for the Pharrell one, maybe taken a picture.
Would you have really looked for it?
I mean, honestly, I would have. I don't know if I would have taken the picture, but I would have at least scoured it a little more. I wonder because he does have that movie. I would have been curious about it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Apparently, the movie's getting really good reviews. I'm probably gonna have to check it out. I'm not gonna lie.
I would stream it. I would not see that in theaters, though.
That's fair. That's fair.
All right, so this one was obvious. I had to get the new model of Deadpool from Deadpool and Wolverine. With the new, you can tell, he's got like the gold TVA kind of parts of the costume. He's got this new head sculpt and golden guns. Also, yes. Without a hesitation, I'm so head over heels for the costume from that movie on Wolverine. Had to get this.
Sure.
So yeah, it has the sleeves too, because that's just indicative of the movie one, not just the comics one, which is great too. But I did have to pick between sleeves and no sleeves. I ended up on sleeves just because that's the first time you see them. All right. Got the Deadpool core, at least the large majority. I didn't go with Cowboy Pool because they have to cut off at a certain point, otherwise you're getting too many Legos. Sure. There are a lot of variants of both Wolverine and Deadpool, as you saw earlier.
Did you get Lady Deadpool?
Well, right there. So there's Kid Pool.
Oh, okay.
There's Head Pool, the zombie head voiced by Nathan Fillion. Got Dog Pool, Lady Deadpool with the Uzis. Uzis and the swords. I love all the little props. And Baby Pool. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Yep, we got you got Invincible in his father. This is really cool. You can actually turn his head. So there's the battle damage side. And there's Happier Times.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I don't see much of a mustache on Logan though. Can you zoom in a little?
Do you mean Nolan?
Nolan, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, it was being thrown off there. Yeah, right there. See it?
Oh yeah, okay. It looked like all of his mouth for a second, but yeah, okay.
Grabbing the mustache. Huh?
Yeah, got it.
All right. You got a new version of the Sam Wilson Captain America.
That looks slick.
This is the kind of thing where technically I shouldn't have gotten this one because I already have one, but they refit.
No, I don't blame you for springing for that though.
He looks better, and he's got like this, and I'm pretty sure that's the one.
New movie's coming out, so it'd be nice to have that. Yeah.
I think this is like a refurbished version of the suit from Falcon Winter Soldier. So I like better honestly. So in terms of the suit design. Anyway. Got Doctor Strange here with a bunch of cool accessories. He's floating. He's got like the little, the magical shields.
Nice.
Yep. I salivated over this one. I love Infinity Ultron, and I saw this and was like, dear God, I need Infinity Ultron. Plus, you can take the helmet off and it's the Vision's face, and he has like two expressions, and it's so cool. So cool. I had Marty already. Put him next to Doc. I got Doc Brown, so There's one, well, Back to the Future. I always hesitate on getting this one because this is the future version of Doc. I wanted the white lab coat one, but they just haven't made one in like God knows how many years. So Yep, and again, there's a reason I showed the Bulma one from earlier, because it's her in the Namek kind of outfit, like that cosplayer from earlier.
Mm.
Master Roshi, a little celebration of getting in touch with my Dragon Ball roots lately. And Homelander,
Nice, nice, nice.
which you'll notice, bottle of milk, baby bottle of milk, just for creepiness. All right, let's see. So, again, unfortunately, there was no luck on Ben Edlund because I saw the line was still to the wall. It was okay. This isn't going to get any better. I just okay. Look, there's a day left. I'll have to do a Hail Mary on there. I need to
Basically,
bring.
like, is there rope dropping involved in Comic-Con, or I guess
Well, there is
I
a
did.
cut. There is a the old sports. Kind of our color themed red shirts. They do have they cap the line. They're like when you walk up to them, and you see them. They're holding a sign. That's doom.
Oh God, okay.
It's never good. So that's like, yep, lines capped.
But what I mean
Sorry.
about rope dropping though is, can you show up like when the convention first opens and specifically be like, I am going to go to this person first, no matter what? Or I assume it depends. Obviously, people's personal schedules are going to be a little bit more in flux, right?
Well, yeah. When you say rope, do you mean just like do people just rush to specific tables when it opens?
That's what I'm asking. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's what I do. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
As I'm saying, I'm going to specific people when they drop. So yeah, you're going to have people in line. The VIPs are going to be the ones. If you walk in a convention, let's say you're the first person to go down with general admission, and you see people in line, they're the VIPs. That's how they got there.
Oh.
Yep. By the way, I think the VIPs really got gypped because I did VIP once back when it actually meant something. You got in there like an hour early. The drawback being none of the people you want to see are actually going to be there. So that's why I don't do VIP anymore. It's like,
Right.
huh.
Right. Right.
Besides that, though, it seems like the VIPs like they didn't get an hour early. I think they got it. I don't know if they screwed it up on day one or not because I didn't pay
Disneyland cut
attention.
their extra magic hours, as they call it, from an hour to a half hour.
That's the thing. They cut it to a half hour. So I don't know if
Yeah.
they just did that or if it was like just they screwed up majorly.
Which, as far as I'm concerned, a half hour, even with no line for a Disney attraction, is basically like you're getting one thing. You're getting one ride. You're getting one freebie.
Yep.
Fucking enjoy it.
Mhm.
All right.
All right, let's see.
Anyways,
So, okay, so we approach Sunday, day 3.
really quick, Dragon. Since do you think we'll be done with this in about another half hour or so?
That is my hope. Yes,
Okay, because yeah, my
I'm working
yeah.
on it, man. If we not had the technical thing, I think it would have been, but yeah.
Okay, okay.
Okay, anyway, so Sunday again. I realized I got everything besides the Greg Land setback and the Ben Edlund thing, and obviously Amanda Connor, which is a 3-day thing anyway. I got everything signed. I did the. I had achieved it, man. All the, so I was in a position I hadn't been in since the very first time I went to the Comic-Con by stumbling in one day, completely light on a Sunday, just on Sunday. I would
Mhm.
be able to go. What I did is I took the less than a handful of comics that I had. I put them in a laptop bag, the lightest mode of conveyance I could find that would keep everything nice and straight. It's even a small laptop bag. So I brought it with me. Uh, so I'm lighter than air on this last day. It was definitely needed. Okay, so I did have some top loader paranoia. So I had a top loader that I knew one of the top loaders had like a hole in it where basically stuff would fall out of it, if it hit the
Mhm.
wrong end. Because like the adhesive on the top loader would just like, sever or something happens to it or whatnot. So point being, it would be a useless top loader. And after I had my John Wesley Ship stuff and everything in there, it was safe, but I realized afterwards, like, oh no, the top loader has this is the one with the hole in it I tried to avoid, and I don't think I can't trust the other ones.
Right.
I only had like one other one of like a big size, and I couldn't trust it, and I think it had a similar issue. So I had like top of Sunday, I had to buy a brand new one, a big giant top loader. So I was like, oh god, this is. And Sunday's the day in which I waited to buy all the art, so I definitely need a top loader for Sunday. It's like,
uh,
oh god, I gotta shell out for that. No. All right. So again, Sunday, very much a shopping day. It's for buying the art and everything there. So I'm dressed to the T as Captain America with the my sewn Captain America shirt with the backpack that is in the shape of the Captain America shield, which essentially, one second, essentially looks like this. Well, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
A little zoomed in, a little sewn pattern there. There's the straps of the backpack. Anyway, so yes, I'm going in Sunday. Objective: just get the few remaining signatures out of the way at the top, and then shopping. So Amanda Connor and Jimmy Palmiotti, we're old friends at this point. Amanda Connor did not show up on time at all any of these 3 days, but again, so ever lovably charming. Just like, sorry guys, it's still it's trying, just feeling really tired. After 3 days of a con, it's like, okay, well, again, she was barely late, so it's like, all right, at least she makes a good excuse for it. I don't know.
Right.
Got that pounded out. Nothing good. There's nothing bad. There's all smooth sailing. Greg Land. I was a little worried about Greg Land, given how Saturday went on the second return. I was thinking, okay, there's no way. It's got to be like once per day, right? I find out, no, it's not once per day. It's once per con.
Are you serious?
Which I think is parenthetically ridiculous.
That's bullshit, dude.
Now I don't know if she was singling me out because I tried a second visit, which again, second visit, understand, because there's no sign saying it can't be like multiple visits if there's no line during a day. Literally, he's not, aside from the sketching, which he's going to be doing 24 hours anyway during all 3 days of the con.
Right.
I'm just saying, but to say like it's once per con, I think that's ridiculous. I think that should be on a sign if you're going to say that.
Well, yeah,
a lot of time. So I lost some respect at the very least for the handlers of Greg Land. I lost some respect for how that's being handled.
Sure.
So anyway, I was weighing. I had Tom King. Tom King used to be like 2 free, then 1 free, and now it's just charging from the outset. So being seasoned at the convention at this point, I was thinking, you know what, I don't need Tom King. Usually I need Tom King. You know what, this time I don't need Tom King, but I measured it, I weighed it, and I think, you know what, I'm gonna see if there's time for Tom King. If he's got a line later, I'm not gonna bother with it. Okay, anyway. So I then try my luck with Ben Edlund because he's like the only potential line I could see necessitating the day. So again, there's a giant line in the making. I'm already feeling like, oh god. So you know what? I go for broke. I go up to Ian Chase Nichols, and I plead my case. Like, look, Nichols, I just need to give him this. And Edlund's at the table at this point. He's right there. I'm not going to like barge in front of him or anything. I was like, look, can I just get this to him? Like, I don't need this. Look, I don't even need this. Really, like, see him or get anything signed. I mean, this is like, okay, look, he says, you know what? Yeah, sure, man. I promise I'm going to give this to him. So I'm on the faith that he's literally right behind him, so I would be shocked. It would be out of spite if he didn't give it to him at this point.
Sure, yeah.
So I like this. If I got a good read on Ian Chase Michaels, he was a nice guy. I like to think he actually gave it to him. I don't see why he wouldn't. So hopefully, I mentioned like Geekvolution and Blinky 500's tick work. So hopefully it got through. Hopefully. Anyway, so the rest of it was smooth sailing. Just a quick little shopping little gallery here of some of the cool stuff that I bought. So, first off, yes. So this print I've been trying to get for a couple of years. There's an artist by the name of Eric Matos, EM Scribbles, if you ever look up his socials and everything. This guy's a wonderful artist, this pin-up work. He did this Talia al Ghul print, which I was always enamored by because it's from my favorite episode of one of my favorite episodes of Batman the Animated Series with Demon's Quest. When we first meet her in the outfit. Well, we meet her proper in the outfit and everything. Like the Denny O'Neil, Neil Adams comic. But he only had the original. Every time I went there, I was like, hey, do you have the print of the Talia al Ghul thing? Nope, sorry. Nope, I didn't do the print of it. Apparently never in demand. It's been like 3 years at this point. I just go, why is there no print? He says, like, well, you can get it through my coffee page. And walk me through the coffee page at the table because I'm sick of like every year going to Eric Matos and not seeing that print there. I know it was $5 extra having it shipped and everything, but you know what? I finally got it. Yep. So I crossed that off the bucket list. I was dying for this print, and I finally got it. So it will no longer taunt me. I don't have to. Otherwise, I would have been paying like $100 to $200 for like the original or something. I think it was like $250. They would have worked with me and priced me at 160, but you never know, isn't that?
Sorry, it's been fucking all day. Go ahead.
All right.
Okay, are we? Are we? Do you want me to just go back to the banner at this point?
Take it. Did the screen share go away?
Yes, it did.
Okay, it's not supposed to do that. I'm going to see if I can, real quick, let me see if I can do anything there. Otherwise, I'm just going to have to describe it to you.
Okay.
All right. Any other Knott's Berry stuff you want to share with the kind folks? In the meantime, I just need a minute.
Yeah, I will say one thing is that Crazy Kirk and the Hillbillies, who used to be Billy Hill and the Hillbillies at Disneyland, they used to play at the Golden Horseshoe at Disneyland, and they've been playing at Knott's for years. They were set up not in the Wagon Camp, which is the theater that they usually play in, but they were set up at the Calico Square Theater. And that theater is like, it's basically like the equivalent to like if you were to go to like a county fair, not even a state fair, but like a county fair and see just like a low level band. Like that's what you're getting at the Calico stage. Like it's literally just picnic tables, not great acoustics. It's not intimate at all. And so I was very let down with that particular component of it, with the fact that like I was stoked that Billy Hill and the Hillbillies, aka Crazy Kirk, and the Hillbillies were going to be there for 4 days, but I only ended up seeing their show like one time because the venue was just so it just was not what their strength is as a band, because their strength is the comedy, the guest interactions, the intimacy. None of that is there in that venue. So yeah, I very much, and it annoys me because they said like, well, we got kicked out of Wagon Camp because of the hanging, but I'm like, okay, yeah, but like you're performing in this stage, which has all the decor for the stupid freaking acrobat circus show that's impossible to actually get a seat for at Scary Farm. So like, why can't you just go into the Wagon Camp? Like there's scenery at the Wagon Camp, but there's also scenery here. I don't know. That was a bit of park management that I wasn't thrilled about. I think that Billy Hill and the Hillbillies should have been in their proper Wagon Camp stage.
All right, Tiki, go back to the main image, would you?
Right.
All right. Fortunately, I don't think I'm gonna have luck with it. I'll see if anything changes by the end. I'll blow through them quickly if that happens. But right now, it's just I'm just gonna tell you. All right, anyway, so I was saying I was going through, pretty much in the shopping. I was going through Artist Alley, which I kind of saved for the end, because Artist Alley is kind of numerous. There's like a bunch of rows and everything. And anyway, so in Artist Alley, it's like a bazaar full of art. People trying to sell their art, and it's some more desperately than others, but it's like an Arabian bazaar. Anyway, so one that caught my eye, this guy had a giant, this really awesome, he had a big version of it. I got the print version of it, which is a little smaller, but he had this giant, like framed, like for this to catch people's eye, this giant framed Iron Giant fist bumping Superman, which is inspired from the multiverses game, in which you have Iron Giant and Superman kind of being able to interact.
I mean, anyway. I'm generally not a big fan of Warner Brothers just pimping out Iron Giant, like, hey, he's in Space Jam and Ready Player One. But like, no, when he's interacting with Superman, that's an entirely different story, because that's the Iron Giant's whole thing. But yeah anyways.
But so this was special. Okay, not only I was already enticed to buy this, but then I found out who was selling it. So Steve Garcia. Steve Garcia was the artist who did this, but apparently Steve Garcia, a name was vaguely familiar to me, but then I put the pieces together after he elaborated. Steve Garcia is an animator. He's an artist and an animator. And again, he did this Superman Iron Giant fist bump thing, and the reason for it being the Iron Giant is he worked on the Iron Giant. Steve Garcia was one of the animators on the Iron Giant. Specifically, he animated Hogarth in that one scene that Brad Bird did. He animated Hogarth, some of Kent Mansley, and maybe some of Annie. He didn't do the Iron Giant himself all that much, but he did pretty much
Hogarth.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, this guy's done a whole bunch of stuff. He's done Hogarth. He's done Rugrats in Paris. He did
Oh,
X Men Evolution. So he's a journeyman animator, if you will. Also, Cats Don't Dance. He did Sawyer from
oh my
Cats
God.
Don't
Yeah,
Dance.
yeah.
Yeah, so he's worked with the greats. I was blown away by this Steve Garcia. He's wonderful. I encourage people to check him out. And let's just say I don't want to promise anything, but let's just say I did do a little networking at the convention.
Okay. Okay.
I won't promise anything, but let's just say there are some talents that I also some fellow podcasters I struck up some conversations with, and we may or may not have some guests. And honestly, I would have dealt with it this month, but we're so jam packed this month. I mean, let's just say November onward. Who knows? Maybe top of
Yeah,
next
we
year.
are really jam packed this month.
That's the thing. So
absolutely true.
otherwise, I would have. That's why I haven't really made any distinct
Unless
plans
any of
yet.
them are like specifically into Halloween shit, because we're going to be
Well,
doing a lot of Halloween shit.
that's the thing. So we're gonna so we'll see how that goes. Let's just say potentially maybe an interview with this Garcia guy. But, no promises, but you never know. He's open. Let's say he's open to coming on to the podcast. At least
Okay,
that's what he
no, that'd
said.
be awesome. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Anyway, so there was this amazing artist that you can kind of see in our main image here, which is the main reason I wanted to kind of throw this back up here. So Yale Stewart. When I realized I did a double take when I walked past his table because I've loved this guy's art. I had no idea he was going to be. I never put a name to the artwork. I knew the comic. I knew the art. So there was a web comic essentially called JL8, which is basically the Justice League and DC characters at the age of 8 years old.
Uh-huh.
And that's essentially
So essentially Little Justice League, LIL apostrophe Justice League.
Pretty much. It's pretty much Little Justice League. To be fair, the Little Gotham thing is them at the regular ages, but in a cutesy style. This is them as actual kids. Like this is like not them as adults who look like they're actually 8 years old. So it's like what if Batman and Superman and all the heroes were like 8-year-old kids.
Uh-huh.
And it's adorable as all get out. Essentially, Yale Stewart, he's under DC's radar because he's pitched this to him, and they keep saying no. So this is all unofficial. That's why I opted to show this because it's all it's unsanctioned.
Right.
Because that's the thing. He can't profit off of it. And he's I think this guy is too good not to employ because his comics are delightful. It's basically the Justice League meets the Peanuts. The guy essentially does Peanuts comics. With DC characters, there are a few Marvel characters, but he has like a whole ongoing strip. It's literally like the Peanuts comic strip, but with like the Justice League characters, and it's adorable. It's very much. I asked him, like, have you ever? Again, unfortunately he can't sell it in comic form because again it would violate things. He'd be profiting off it as a comic.
I mean that does make sense, unfortunately.
I know it makes sense, but it's tragic to me because again, you have folks. I encourage all of you look up Yale Stewart's art, but also again, there's like an archive of his comics somewhere. You can like look through all the strips, like the little like few issue few panel comic strips, like God knows how many of them, and they're all adorable and fantastic. And it's a crime no one's seeing more of this guy's work.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, so he's great. I struck up a nice conversation with him. He's got, so I struck up a conversation with him, and he got me a really good deal on a bunch of art because I could have bought. He was my big art expenditure. I could have bought so much of his work, but I had to cut it off at some point.
Right.
Unfortunately, again, I would have liked to show you more of it, but this again was kind of an impressive example of it. The whole little comic stand with them all there.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, let's see. So I saw Fabian Nicieza, the creator of Deadpool. The writer of Deadpool, the guy who created Deadpool along with Rob Liefeld. So again, he was doing these awesome custom prints. He did them last year. Like Riley Brown makes a print with these empty speech bubbles, and you go to Fabian Nicieza, and he's raising money for the Hero Initiative, which again, worthy cause if you're gonna donate. In terms of like everyone's like price gouging, like that's the guy like for $5 a book, but it all goes towards the Hero Initiative. That's worth it.
Sure.
Anyway, so it's Wolverine. I had the one from last year, which he was also offering with Cable and Deadpool, and now he had Deadpool and Wolverine. Basically, it's Wolverine and Deadpool stabbing the crap out of each other.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. So he was very entertaining. We talked, the movie, Deadpool and Wolverine, how we were both like very much like sold on the opening. I was more sold. He was like, oh boy, I wonder what kind of movie this is going to be. But he loved it. He really loved what they did with Wolverine. Pretty much all the stuff you loved about it, Tiki. He really loved about the Wolverine stuff.
What do you mean? Like what specifically did I love?
Oh, I'm
Remind me?
sorry, I might be conflating it, but I mean, didn't you also really like the fact that like Wolverine actually had like a solid arc in that movie? The whole like the
Yeah,
lost
yeah,
connection
yeah, for
and
sure,
everything.
for sure. I like the fact that Logan was actually a character and not just like literally dragged out of his grave for a cameo, like was implied.
Yeah, yeah. So that's it. He was really was receptive to how Wolverine was properly portrayed in that regard. So yeah. Anyway, so
Oh,
he's delightful. And he's
I
fun.
would
That's
say
the thing. He's
specifically my praise was probably just for Jackman's performance.
yeah.
Because Hugh Jackman in that movie very much feels like he was actually giving a shit.
Mm-hmm.
Right,
Oh yeah.
anyways.
Anyway, so again, I had some other photos there, but again, it doesn't look like things are going to cooperate with me, unfortunately. Ultimately, I decided to go for Tom King because the line wasn't crazy. I was like, you know what? I'm just getting out of here. I saved. I really did not spend a lot of money aside from the Jeff Loeb and again, I got a really good deal on the Yale Stewart stuff. So I figured, you know what? I just brought one comic for Tom King to sign. I'll get it signed. What the hey. And Tom
Yeah.
King, what?
No, I just said, yeah, huh?
Yeah, yeah, and Tom King always pleasant as usual. Again, despite the sketch art stuff, he's still pleasant. All get out. I was about to leave, and I realized, oh wait, I've been checking in with Kyle Higgins the whole day, and oh wait, I should check with Kyle Higgins so I get my free swag. I go there. Kyle Higgins, he said, "Hey, look, I signed up for the newsletter. It's like you showed me." He's like, "Oh man, but I'm out of the stuff. I'm out of the
Oh
basically."
no. Oh, that's a
However,
bummer.
Kyle Higgins, being the wonderful man that he is, he just
Okay.
he kind of looked around for a second. He got like one of the comics that he had, like he's basically selling. He signed it and he gave it to me.
Oh, nice, nice, nice.
Very nice of him. Real nice. Class act, that Kyle Higgins. So again, Comic-Con success went pretty well there. Again, Greg Land kind of got a little bumpy towards the end there, but aside from that, things went rather well, and that brings us to the far briefer Monster Mania.
All right.
Okay, and it's brief.
All right, for sure.
Okay, so again, they changed from the hotel that it used to be held at. It used to be held at Hunt Valley, which is really the Delta Inn at Hunt Valley is this really nice hotel, but they got bulldozed because they basically said that it wasn't worth repairing, which I think is ridiculous. So they moved it to the Harbor Hilton Inn, which is very close. It's basically around the block of the convention center, but also means we're kind of like in the heart of the city, which for two reasons dissuade a lot of people, a lot of vendors, and a lot of people from going. One, terrible parking situation. That's the main reason. Like there's an artist I was so looking forward to seeing because I buy from every year. Chroma, I think it's Chroma Coma is the artist's name. He did these wonderful Batman the Animated Series, kind of like prints that were on like black paper, like the animated series was, which I love.
Uh-huh.
Again, I have like almost the whole set. I was going to buy the remainder of the set when I went there, but he wasn't there because of the parking situation. He basically alluded to, I don't know if I'm going to be there next year with this whole parking thing. So we lost him in that regard.
God.
And the other guard's just kind of genuine fear about crime in the city. So that's the other thing.
Sure, of course.
Anyway, so that scared a lot of people off, but so I only go to Monster Mania is like it takes it back to like the original Comic-Con thing where I walked in on Sunday. I only go to Monster Mania for one day of the 3 days. It's Sunday, and with that you kind of take there's an unpredictability factor. You don't know how Sunday's going to go. It could be nice and easy and lax, or it could be man, everyone's kind of used up, burnt
You
out.
know what's funny is that I feel like just generally speaking, what you just said is that's pretty much typical of Sundays in theme parks too. It's like it could be an easy day or it could be literally more crowded than Saturday. You just don't know. Like I will say for my experience, I didn't go into the park Sunday during the day. Or Saturday during the day. I just went at night. But like Sunday during the day and even Monday during the day was fucking crazy. Like I've never seen the park that bad. Anyways.
All right, anywho. Let's see. So the objective here. So I had potentially up to 6 people to meet. That's not exactly to like full on pay for the autograph and get a picture and everything. That's just at the very least to meet up to 6 people potentially. So the inside of the hotel is very nice. Outside, not so much. I'm going to say that because it's the city.
Oh, so it's like the stratosphere in Vegas.
There you go. So I got there. I got there pretty early. So there was like again, the trend I usually do is try to get there an hour early, and usually it's paid off well so far.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, so the staff here is far more helpful at Monster Mania than they are at the they are at the old sports at the Comic-Con. One of them recognized me, and I was actually enlightened. So apparently, it sounds I don't know if it's the case with all of them, but at least most of them are the same guys from the. I guess they're employed, but like not employed because they're volunteers again. I assume the Monster Mania guys were paid, which is why they were treated better. But the reason is the Monster Mania guys are the red shirts. Okay, they are them. But the apparently they get better fringe benefits, and fringe benefits in quotes. They are volunteers, but they're given better craft service and possibly better treatment and amenities at the Monster Mania than they are at the Comic-Con, which probably explains why they're more helpful here than they are there. Let me show you. Let me show you the vast upgrade in Minion here. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm getting in line, and guy just walks me. He's basically trying to direct people to the Matthew Lillard. So Matthew Lillard was there again. Of course, Matthew Lillard I've met before. He's wonderful, and basically this guy has like a huge line traditionally because people love Matthew Lillard. Anyway, so this guy's basically directing people to the Matthew Lillard line because he knows that's going to be a huge crowd, and that's like kind of a different thing. At the very least, people are lining up for him in advance. So he's like, it's like, okay, guys, I'm going to direct you to. Basically, he's walking up to us and everybody's saying, "Hey, are you in line for Matthew Lillard's general missions?" And we say general mission. This guy gives us the full lowdown of what it's been like for the past 3 days, which is super helpful because again, you're going into Monster Mania blind essentially. Because I can only do research on Friday, which is when the convention starts, to what the prices might be, and they are subject to change by Sunday.
Right.
So this guy's telling me what the line situation is on all the people I want to see. This guy is a fount of information versus I don't know how much the yearbook is, So this guy's like telling me like, okay, so he gave me a very helpful. One of the big three people that I'm there to see. My mother desperately wanted to see. My folks loved the Monster Mania. Unfortunately, my father couldn't go because of the parking situation. It's a thing of principle of just like, I'm not going to pay for parking, So he would not. He wouldn't go inside versus what he used to be.
I had one of our dinner schedules, like with family friends, that got totally ruined because the hotel was not doing free parking that night because of Scary Farm.
God.
So yeah, I feel the pain there.
But I felt bad because my father, he actually he can't do he has bad feet, so he can't do the actual Comic-Con anymore. The Monster Mania though is like one room, like 2 rooms at a hotel, so he can actually do that. So he actually likes the Monster Mania. But unfortunately he couldn't go because of the change in hotel, which is a bummer. So my mother, she still likes going, and she again, she wanted to meet Skeet Ulrich desperately because he canceled one year because he was supposed to. He and Matthew Lillard and the Screamcast are like a package deal,
Sure.
Like they love doing like all the Scream guys together, and like Jamie Kennedy's there and all that. So anyway, the point being, so Skeet Ulrich apparently his line is like it's big, not as big as Matthew Lillard's, but it's pretty substantial. I asked, okay, the next guy, like, what's his line like? And he says like, no, his line's pretty much non-existent. It's like, it's not really a line at all, which is like, okay, I'm going to swap my battle plan there. So we'll get to who that guy is in a second. So we're in Ski. So we readjust things. We go to Skeet Ulrich's line first, which is a really good move because it did absolutely fill up afterwards. So had we not been there, if we'd done him second, we would have been there all day.
Mm-hmm.
So that was helpful. So we get in there, and my mother, she's on cloud 9 meeting Skeet Ulrich. I mean, I liked him from Riverdale, and I told him as much. I loved you in the first 2 seasons of Riverdale. I might have left out the first 2 seasons part, but I said, I loved you great in Riverdale. I wouldn't have been afraid to tell him that, but essentially my mother was like was hogging the celebrity in this case, which I had no compunction with. Sure. It's like, sure, it's who she wanted to see desperately. It was more of like a thing of like, I don't personally need to see Skeet Ulrich. She was like, all right, yeah, we'll see Skeet Ulrich. All right, sure, yeah, why not? Anyway, so he was very nice. Of course, he and Lillard pounding around. I heard that this poor girl, she lost her stuff, her signed stuff from Ulrich and Lillard the previous day. So she got back in line. Lillard walked the girl over and gave her like a free autograph from Skeet Ulrich and everything. It seemed really. He probably did a freebie herself for her himself as well, I'd imagine. Anyway, Lillard's a class act like that. I can't say enough nice things about Matthew Lillard either. When I met him too last year, like 2 years ago. Anyway, let's see. Okay, so Ron. Okay, so the other. Okay, so my big guy there, the first one I wanted to see. That was really worried. The truly blind spot going into this thing. I had no idea what it was going to be like. It could be a Bruce Campbell situation where I like when I saw Bruce Campbell, I went to that convention specifically for Bruce Campbell. And I had no idea what it was going to be like. So in this case, Ron Perlman was there.
That's big.
I was very excited to meet Ron Perlman, and I'm kind of told like Ron Perlman had no line, and there's two reasons for that.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's pretty surprising.
Okay, so essentially,
Don't tell me he's MAGA, Dragon. Please don't tell me he's MAGA.
Well, no, Tiki, he's very anti-MAGA. I'm pretty sure.
Okay, thank God.
Tiki, I don't know if you ever looked into it. He's very anti-MAGA.
No, I've not looked into it, but I'm just saying people of his age.
No. Trust me, he's
MAGA.
Well, remember, he also stood up to Iger, man. He's the whole strike thing. He was very much. He's very. He's on the side of the Angels. Don't worry.
All right.
So to speak, I'm not taking sides, or I'm just saying like he's not going to make people.
I'm taking sides. The MAGA side is the wrong side.
I know you're taking sides. Yeah, fine. What point being? It's called diplomacy, but anyway.
Right.
Fact of the matter is, so I mentioned this earlier. So Monster Mania with like all celebrities at the Monster Mania, it kind of works like the Galaxy Con, which Jacob Weil goes to on the regular now. Because so it's all celebrities in terms of like the talent that's there. They're in competition with each other per their agents and per just like figuring out, because the celebrities, that's essentially how they're getting paid. Like I assume like they're put up at the hotel and possibly flown there. Any money they make at that convention, that's what they're making. That's what they're basically getting for being at that convention. What they get from the fans.
Sure.
So the problem is they wait until the last minute to unveil what the prices are, and they call them subject to change because, like one guy's charging this much, I should charge this much. So they're very much in competition with each other. And I think what happened this year is that they realized they shot themselves in the foot where they priced themselves out of getting people in line for them. They charged through the roof.
Oh, okay.
So Ron Perlman, initially, from what I understand, like Friday, which I wasn't there for, Friday, he was like for the combo, which you basically want the table selfie and you want the and the autograph, like 100 and probably like goes, I think it's $120. So Dave on Sunday again, because again I assume it didn't work out for him. He went down to 100, which was like I mean, I think other conventions he's been kind of doing that for combos. I mean, he's a big name. I kind of get it. I'm not thrilled about it, but I get it. It's like traditionally it's like a 60-40 kind of thing, so I guess it kind of fits. Anyways, I was warned that Perlman, he could run hot and cold given how the convention's going. The guy's kind of Sphinx-like, so I went up to Ron Perlman. When I go up to his table, the little song he's playing, like the ambiance music behind, like little radio or whatever, it's something stupid, like the song from Better Call Saul. The Lola Mars song.
Yeah, sure.
And I was like, okay, this is a really good sign. Like Perlman's got taste. I love it. I was looking for an 8x10 of Clayface. They had one, didn't look good, so I ended up going with Hellboy. Like it wasn't a shot from the show. It was like a fan art of Clayface, which I don't think was the best it could have been. So, I had a thank you letter. I wrote a thank you letter for Ron Perlman because I only opted to do one thank you letter for the Monster Mania. I picked Perlman because again, he's done so much stuff. I kind of had to condense it to I told him about Mickey K line from Hey Arnold, Slade from Teen Titans, Clayface. I leaned heavy in the Clayface. I do think that might be one of his finest performances. I love it. Anyway, so I go up to him, and of course I'm a little caught off guard by the fact he had no line, like one person in front of me. So it was like the whole reason I wrote the thank you letter is like, well, I didn't know what kind of line you were going to have, so I wrote this just in case. So Perlman, I get a sense he was not a chatty Cathy, Tiki.
Really? I'm not surprised.
Here's the thing: the problem with Perlman, I got a little starstruck, but only because my whole battle plan was like anticipating a large crowd and maybe I'd be able to get in what I was able to get in, but I kind of had ample space, but I didn't really have a good introductory kind of tidbit. I had no.
Well, you have the Better Call Saul song right there. That's your in. That's your in.
Yeah, no, you're right. I should have thought about that.
Yeah, seriously.
I thought I was thinking more like that's a good omen, but it's like That's the thing. I said hello. I said, big fan of your work, and I asked him,
And
I
then he's
tried.
probably like, yeah, you and literally every other person that I've interacted with this whole time.
Yeah, which I'm starting to wonder if it was many. But here's the thing: my plan was like I highlighted his voice roles and not so much Hellboy in the letter, because I didn't want to. Everyone's told him
I
about
bet
Hellboy.
Hellboy is the thing that he's probably sick of hearing of.
That's the thing. So
Especially, I'm sure he's sick of hearing like, "Hey, why aren't you doing the new Hellboy? Why aren't you doing the new Hellboy?"
exactly. So what I did is I mentioned like at the very top of the letter, I mentioned like I know he loves the "Can't Smile Without You" scene from Hellboy 2, which is also a scene I love from Hellboy 2. I mentioned that briefly at the top. Then I said, "Boy, I'm not going to focus. You've been talked to death about Hellboy. I'm going to tell you. I want to talk about your voice work. I want to thank you for your voice work." So that's why it's all in the letter and everything. I
You know what
mentioned
would
that.
have really probably warmed his heart, Dragon?
What?
Just if other things in the story or anything to go by, you should have specifically name dropped Beauty and the Beast.
I know that. Yeah. Yeah. Well, essentially, again, Tiki, it's just kind of a vibe when you go up to the guy. It's like there was no effusive like "hello, how you doing" from him, so I have to initiate. That was kind of the death nail right there. It's like,
That's honestly kind of the vibe I got from Cheech.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the kicker though. You need if they initiate, that's usually what kind of gets the ball.
Greg Sestero seemed like he was totally like down to talk.
Yeah. But that's the thing. It's the fact that I was just so thrown off that again, there's no one else to see him, and yet it felt like he was kind of. It felt like by Sunday he might have been beaten down by busy days before that, but it sounds like he wasn't busy though. The point being though, I don't know. He wasn't. I want to be clear.
Like overall, just kind of like weird vibes in general surrounding him.
I want to be clear that he wasn't rude. He wasn't like not. He was. It wasn't like he wasn't cordial. To put it in curb terms, okay. He was cordial, but he didn't really initiate. And that's not
probably about all you could say about him.
Yeah, I mean, he just wasn't talkative. That's the thing. He was nice, but he wasn't talkative. Like he gave me kind of like a fun, kind of wise guy response, but it wasn't it's like I basically asked, hey, do you remember doing the Clayface stuff from Batman Animated? That was his first voice gig, and I know a lot of times he's been now asked about all sorts of voice roles that he's done so many, he kind of doesn't remember all of them. So, So he did remember Clayface, and I asked the stupid question versus better questions I thought of later I should have asked, but again it was just the tone was the vibe and the tone was so off. I just kind of lost a lot of my confidence in that moment.
Right.
My self-assured confidence had it gone a little differently, but basically he said, oh yeah, it was he remembers it fondly. It was a good job. He didn't say didn't give me like a full-on story or anything, but
he didn't say like, "Oh man, Clayface, yeah, that was the days, man. Oh, I'm so glad you referenced that."
Yeah, it didn't really go like that. But
he was basically just like, "Yeah, that was a paycheck."
Basically, look, Ron Perlman. Here's the best way to sum it up. Ron, but that's exactly what he said. It was a paying gig, but that's what he said.
Right.
So again, he said he's a very cavalier, kind of cool, kind of man of few words kind of sort, and I kind of I knew that about him, but I still, I know he's like. He is very insightful because I told him I read his book. He's thanks. I told him I do love his book. It's a really good book. Called Easy Street, which I highly recommend. It's really man's lived a very interesting life. Anyway, so didn't go exactly as I pictured in my head. But then again, neither did Bruce Campbell. Only difference is Bruce Campbell, the man practically read my mind. He gave me an experience before he gave me I didn't really initiate a conversation there. It's just kind of like he just kind of felt it.
Sure.
Anyway. Next, Jeffrey Combs. So Jeffrey Combs.
Drag, we really got to wrap this up soon. I
know it's
yeah.
But I know this is it. Essentially, This is All right, anyway, Jeffrey Combs, voice of the Question from Justice League the Animated, JLU, and he was the second Scarecrow. Sorry, he was the revamped version of Scarecrow from the new Batman Adventures, and of course, most famously for horror purposes, the Reanimator.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I love Jeffrey Combs. Great guy. He was very, even while he was engaged in conversation, I'm talking to his helper, like, hey, do you have any 8x10s of the Question? Did they all sell out? And he's like, yeah, sorry, we didn't bring him to the convention. He feels guilty. He apologized for not having the Question 8x10s.
Really?
He was so
That's funny.
As I'm saying, so effusively nice. And I told him how much I love the Question, what he did with the Scarecrow and the new Batman Adventures. And he's like, he did the lines. He did a lot unprompted. He did like lines of the question in the voice, or did like aglets. Their true purpose is more sinister than you could ever imagine. So he was a dream. In hindsight, he did the Baskin Robbins. There are 32 flavors. The whole anyway. So in hindsight, I kind of wish maybe I had maybe done the letter for. I'm not gonna say I wish I didn't do a letter for Perlman. I wish I could have found the time to do a letter for Combs as well. But I only had the two roles.
Perlman also kind of strikes me as someone. I hate to say this, Dragon. I really do. I don't want to break your heart, but you probably get the same sense. Kind of strikes me as someone who doesn't give a shit about fan letters.
However, I'm gonna say this though. Okay, I forgot to mention this. Okay, Perlman did say he did promise he was gonna read the letter.
All right.
I
hope you can take his word on that.
Like before I left, he said, "I'm going to read the letter."
Fair enough.
Okay, I don't know. Here's why I think he's going to read the letter. Perlman, he's written fan letters. Well, not fan. He's written letters to people before to get acting gigs.
Oh, okay.
So I would like, based on that, I would like to think there's a good chance he's going to read that letter. And he did at least take it and he didn't like just toss it aside. I think
just literally just like throw it in the trash in your line of sight as you're walking away.
Yep. All right. Anyway, so point being, those are the three that those are the three ones I saw. I got autographs and I basically did the combo and all those guys. There are a few things I'm on board with it. I went to the shopping. They had like a nice kind of bizarre kind of setup there, but it was good stuff there. Anyway, so before I left, I rolled the dice on two people just to meet them for the heck of it. Didn't buy anything from, just met them. I've met Roger Jackson before at the Monster Mania. It's been a few years. Met him once the last time he was there. He's the voice of Mojo Jojo and Ghostface. Anyway, so he was very nice. He did the Mojo Jojo egg voice. The egg rant from Powerpuff Girls for me. Like, you need 2 eggs for breakfast. So that went great. He was very nice. Tom Savini, makeup man extraordinaire. I'd seen, I was not super attached to seeing him because I ride or die for Greg Nicotero. Tom Savini, I respect for his work in the Friday the 13th movies and everything. I was kind of curious to see him, and I went up there, and I got the impression that unless monetarily motivated, he's not really waking up for that, So it did not go. I think it was kind of like that Zach Galligan story I told you way back. Anyway, so so that's pretty much how it ended. It went really well. I got all the important ones I needed, and I kind of saved money. Like, I think it was telling on Savini that I ultimately had Savini perked up without being prompted by money. I think that would have I think I said at point I'm glad I didn't give him the money. Just if that's what it takes to really get like a good interaction out of the guy.
Sure.
Anyway, so kind of went well, and then afterwards, like, I'm waiting outside, and there's this guy, like, angry guy, like, doing an Uber call, like, for calling an Uber, and he's just not he's not having a good day. He's like yelling, and it's the city life, It's just this guy like, it's 404 Pratt Street, like, he's like, do you understand English and everything? Anyway, so that's how it went. Yeah. All right, so we've reached the end, folks. I hope you've had fun throughout my prattling. Very sorry about the technical difficulty, and yeah.
All right, big thanks to Little Blue and Kogias for joining us in the chat. It's a fun time, Dragon. I'm sorry I can't comment more on it because you know my situation, but yeah, any last words, any last thoughts?
Nope, just we'll see how it goes next year.
Okay. All right, have a good night, folks.
Yep.